And he will bowl well in these conditions. Not as quick as he used to be. And look at the economy, 4.82. And he's played a lot of cricket on those flat pitches in Bangladesh. So that's a very good record. And a very good captain too. He's taken this team forward with his leadership. He'll bowl well, bowl within himself, look to pitch the ball up.
Yeah, well, interesting, he's coming around the wicket to the left-hander, Shikhar Dhawan. You think with the conditions that maybe try and utilise the angle across and try and grab an outside edge early, rather than shifting to coming into the top of off is the line, maybe slightly outside. Obviously wants Shikhar Dhawan to feel like he has to play at everything. But that's the problem with that line. You'll be a leg by, but you really got to get your line right when you're coming round to the left-hander.
It's just a bit ginger onto the bowling crease, not really running hard. Has had a few knee problems over the years, a few surgeries. Has chopped a bit of pace. But as you very rightly said, over the wicket would be a better option. Bring the ball back into the left-hander, try and hold its line, something which Shikhar Dhawan doesn't like. And he'll come over to the right-hander. Just a slip. Four fielders in the circle on the offside.
Well, we've got a score predictor there, 305 they're predicting already. That's taking in all the data at this ground for that to be assessed. That's a good leave. So Shikhar Dhawan at this ground averages 64. He's got a century, he's got a half century, and he can improve on that today. Although these warm-up games are not listed anywhere because they're able to utilise the 15. That's in the fielding options, really, being able to have players come out and have a bowl and get a few overs in the tank. Though we saw with England, with their injury rate against Australia the other day, that two individuals who were not going to bat ended up batting because of those injuries.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity to give everyone a go. India's last warm-up game before they play South Africa on the 5th in Southampton. That's the Indian squad, a very close-knit unit. The coaching staff on the right, the players on the left.
I think it was Ravi's birthday yesterday, wasn't it, Ravi Shastri? Pretty sure he was birthday boy yesterday. 57 years of age. Oh, he looks younger every day. 5 for no loss. There's Ravi. Pretty sure he's in his last phase, actually, as coach manager of this Indian side.
And would be winding Chahal up. You can see it. You can see that glimpse on his face. It's his second World Cup as a coach. Was there in Australia in 2015 when India lost the semi-finals. Has been around for a while.
Shikhar Dhawan on strike. Oh, good delivery. Maybe there was a hint of movement there. You've been talking about getting the length right, Surev, and I think this is the dangerous length. If there's any movement, you want that commitment on the front foot from the batsman. That's when you grab the edge.
And a very good length to Shikhar Dhawan. It's pitched up, just goes away from the left-hander. You can see it. It's just a bit tentative. And the likes of Mitchell Starc and Trent Boult has troubled him around that area in the past.
Well, that was this morning, and busy. Ground staff. There's Michael Clark talking to Ravi, and it's the place where most players will walk out onto a ground and go straight to the pitch and eye it up and have their own assessment of what they think it might do. Place where most players, first if he won the toss.
Every now and then he'll do that, just to take the bowler off length. A very good onside player. Likes picking it off his hips. A lot of green areas on that surface. It's a different seam angling into the left-hander, a bit of bounce. He will be tested in these conditions.
It can be a slow build in these conditions in England. If you think it's a bit sticky and too paced, or you're not sure whether it's going to be moving around, obviously there's strong support for India and Bangladesh over here in the UK and Wales. And we can expect packed houses, that's for sure. But yeah, the opening batsman, it can take a few overs just to assess it. There's a shout here, and he's been given. Paul Wilson is the umpire, and he raises the finger. It looked pretty good.
Once again, the left-hander getting Shikhar Dhawan. Coming back into him, a full-length delivery. And it looked plumb in front. Just angling back into the left-hander. It's playing across. And it's right in the middle. Bangladesh strike. India lose their first wicket.
Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it? Shikhar Dhawan on his way for 5 for 1. Here we go, Virat Kohli, and he comes out to chants of Kohli, as he will right the way through this long ICC World Cup campaign. So the Indian skipper, he got himself going the other day and then got out in the teens, but you know that he's never far away from a big total. Today will be a big day for him. And they put 2 slips in. So Bangladesh on the attack, 5 for 1 after 3.
That's the wicket of Shikhar Dhawan coming back into the left-hander. Got himself into terrible position, Shikhar Dhawan. And that was hitting the middle stump. He's a very good bowler, this young boy, Mustafizur.
Mushrafif, he can get a breakthrough as well. Rohit Sharma, when he plays a big wild shot outside off stump, he does love a bit of width. He's so strong through the offside.
Not a great shot when you've lost a wicket. A loose one from Rohit Sharma.
He had an interesting IPL, didn't he? He never really got going. A couple of half centuries, but I mean, his leadership was strong. I think he's a good captain. He was the captain of the winning team in the end. What a cracking final it was against Chennai Super Kings last ball game. but he really didn't get the runs going. It's crucially, he gets going in a good opening stand with Darwin to see the shape. Trying to hit that square through the onside with an angle, but you think it's that left arm over the wicket. He just doesn't like that, Surf.
Yeah, he's not backing himself enough. He's got out a few times to the left-handers. Outside edge. Doesn't carry to the first slip. Not quick enough, Murtaza. It's trying conditions for the Indian batsman.
Yeah, it was just with soft hands. That's why it hasn't carried. He's tried to catch up with the ball, providing an outside edge, but he was soft enough with the hands so it doesn't carry. But gee, he looked around quickly, didn't he, show up Rohit Sharma, just to make sure it wasn't carrying. You could have two slips in place if you wanted.
They're using his feet this time, trying to cover the seam movement. Experienced campaigner Rohit Sharma has been to this part of the world many times. Batting's just a bit different in these conditions. Strong offside field, 4 in the ring on the offside. As Michael said, there is a possibility of having a second slip.
Yeah, I would. I'd go with it. I'd just really be on the charge. Try and get that second wicket as quickly as you can. If there is an edge, you just don't want to miss out, because there might be some tentative stroke play if the ball, as it appears from up here, is just zipping around a little bit. There's enough movement. And when you think about an edge, if you get the length right, it only has to move a half ball width to grab the edge. Sometimes over in England, if you've got that cloudy day, you can get the length right to move too much and you play and miss. And you don't mind that shorter length as a batsman. End of the 4, 6 for 1. Continuing, there's the straight line, so if you can get that a hint of in-swing, you might be able to just, like Trent Bolt did, New Zealand, bringing it in. But there's a reliance on the top order in this Indian setup. Kohli, Rohit, Darwin, 52% of the runs. So if you're really targeting and heading back to the pavilion early, then you're more than halfway there with that percentage ratio.
Yeah, they've scored a lot of runs in the last few years. And coming back to your point, as more so Bangladesh should attack, especially in these conditions with the ball seaming around a bit, just to slip. Try and get a Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli out early. But yes, very rightly, as you said, as you saw in our screens, they have been huge contributors to Indian success. 40 hundreds for Rohit Sharma, for Virat Kohli, I beg your pardon, 22 for Rohit Sharma, 16 for Shikhar Dhawan. Just goes to show how well they have played and how important are they to this batting lineup.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, isn't it, when you look at those stats. So, the first runs off the bat since the first over. And a couple of leg byes, but Kohli scored 96. The last one international against Bangladesh, that was Champions Trophy. That was the semi at Edgbaston. So we've got a couple of years since he's played a proper one-day international against this side. 96. We'll mention how many hundreds he's got. If he gets to 96, normally he's converting. So he would have been disappointed that day. Edge through the gap. He's standing at second slip. It goes between keeper and the slip fieldsman. It's a big moment.
Well, that's exactly what we were saying. In these conditions, you have to get these boys out early. When you win the toss, you're in an advantageous position. And have a look at this. Outside edge, regulation nick. But there's no one to catch.
Oh, you've just got to work in these conditions with 2 slips to start with. It's worth it. Yes, it creates a gap in front, and now the second slip comes in. But is it too late? Well, you're reacting to where the ball has gone. Now you've got 2 slips. You might not get another opportunity.
Especially to someone like Kohli. In these conditions early on, outside the off stump, he will be vulnerable. If there is any weak, you come back to it. Having a look at the field, there's the second slip coming in, and if there's any weak area for Kohli early on in his innings, it's outside the off stump in these conditions. Yeah, that's the outside edge. The face opening in the last minute. Straight into the hands of the first slip if it was there. And he knows it.
And there's a good positive shot, and he pierces the gap through extra cover. So the movement, after he edges it, the movement's so much better, and he charges through for 3. Quick outfield, but that's a long boundary, that one. Into the over, it's 14 for 1. Now 7, Rohit Sharma, very sluggish for his 4. So Kohli, big moment, outside edge. And it was only the last Test series here in England where he found some way of getting runs over here. Prior to that, it was the only place in the world he hadn't scored prolifically.
And he fought very hard for his runs. Getting 100 in the first Test match and never looked behind from then. Flicked off his pads. That's his strength. He will look to do that. Chance of a run out. Rohit Sharma gets back quickly. See, every now and then he'll try to cover the off stump and take it into his body and hit through the onside. Let's have a look at that. He walks across and just hits it through the onside. Yes, no, but Rohit Sharma did well to get back.
He steals the single, and that's really good running from Virat Kohli. He was the one that responded. Rohit Sharma just knocking it dead at the feet. And that man was pretty close at short cover as well. So that's one thing you get from Kohli. Doesn't matter what format, he is just charging. He's got this determination. There's an energy level with everything he does. So fit.
Very fit. And gets off the block very, very quickly. This Indian side have players who are very good runners between the wickets. Shikhar Dhawan, Kohli, Rohit Sharma, MS Dhoni. A terrific judger of singles.
Well, he's just the leader of the pack, isn't he, Virat Kohli? He's one of those that you march behind, and at the nets yesterday he was the first man out. I'm pretty sure if you see your captain Kohli get out there first, you're going to be following pretty quickly. They're working hard. It's the time in the nets, isn't it, Surab? I don't know how you use net practice, but if you're working on anything, that's your thinking time as a batsman. Just trying to maybe get a shot back that's not been working for you, or But then when you hit the battle in the game, you've got to be very neutral in the mind.
And I think the same in the nets as well. You've got to try and practice as much as you do in the middle. Try and stay in that same mindset. Make sure you're picking the length properly, getting forward, getting back. The ball's hitting the middle of the bat because that gives you a lot of confidence. You pretty much try and do the same things. You bat for about 15-20 minutes. Make sure that you don't get out in those 20 minutes.
It's a good point, isn't it? It's what you try and teach the kids, and for the kids listening is, if you want that intensity of a game, then you don't try and get out in the game, so don't try and get out in the nets. And if you've got that discipline, then it's easier to take it into that next match.
It just gives you confidence. You know, the conditions will be a lot different in the nets.
Unable to work it, so it's a bit of a go slow for Rohit Sharma, 17 for 1.
Mustafiza Rahman continuing with that line and length to Virat Kohli. Why wouldn't you when you get the early edge? It goes between slip and keeper. And they've just missed a trick a little bit early doors here, Bangladesh.
Yeah, agree, Mel. Missed a huge opportunity. Virat to the crease, hadn't faced many balls. Bowler executing his skill, finding the outside edge, and there was no man at first slip. How costly will that be? A lot of teams will be watching this and know the way Virat Kohli plays. Got to get him to look to drive exactly like that early on in his innings. You want him playing through that cover region outside the off stump, particularly if you've got a left armer bowling, you're taking that angle, using that angle across him. But you definitely need to have men in catching positions. Virat Kohli bats for 30 or 40 balls. We know he's going to make a big score, so look at that, beautiful angle, exactly what you're after as a bowler. Unfortunately, that's poor captaincy.
And off he goes, one of the quickest between the wickets. And I think the other thing you've got to think about too is that, yes, he is the best one-day batter in the world, but you can't hedge your bets. You've got to get him early. You've got to have the fielders in exactly the right positions, don't you?
Yeah, good quick single as well. Good intent. Yeah, well, I think that's more reason to attack him early because he is so good, because he is the number one player in the world. If he makes a mistake, you want to make sure that catch is taken. It's like the same thing when you get a chance off Virat Kohli, you can't afford to drop it. Even if it's half a chance, even if it's a one-hander, you've got to take it. And I honestly believe that's going to be the difference in this World Cup. I think the team that shines a light on its fielding and hangs on to those 50-50 opportunities, gets those direct hit run-outs, I think that's the team that's going to go on and win. I think there's a number of teams that have wonderful bowling units and wonderful batting units. I think those little 1%ers, how you handle pressure and how you field, it's going to make such a difference.
Slashes and it's a toe end of the bat down to third. Well, it's probably fielding a little bit more than 1%ers, isn't it? When you look at the squads going around this World Cup, who's the team that stands out fielding-wise that you think can do the ground fielding, hit the stumps, take the high balls, turn half chances into wickets?
Well, Well, I think there's a number. I think South Africa have always been brilliant in the field. New Zealand, Australia, even India. India's fielding has improved out of sight. So athletic now. They've got good movers. They put their best fielders in the main position. So, there's a number of teams that have got the talent.
Nicely driven. 19 for 1. When you look at the support crew for each and every team within this World Cup, some outnumber the squads themselves. Teams of 15, 16, 17 support staff, and in and around that number is most definitely a fielding coach to make sure that, all the teams are ticking that box. Captain to continue.
Yeah, Mel, just thinking about that fielding, the other team that I think have really stood out in the last 12 months of their fielding has been the England team. You watch them against Pakistan recently, and that was definitely a big part of the gap between England and Pakistan. So, the other thing that's not discussed often enough, in my opinion, are the tactics that the captain uses. I think through this tournament you're going to get to see the different style of captaincy, the different approach of individual teams as well.
On the charge, it's a thick inside edge.
So I think we're going to see, I think you think of Rohit Sharma through the IPL, he didn't perform as well as he'd like, but I think tactically he was exceptional. And that's part of your role as captain as well. A lot of people talk about leadership as a captain. Your most important job are your tactics on the field. Winning games of cricket, setting the right fields, bowling the right people at the right time, picking the right batting order. So a lot of captains have got to be switched on.
In this field, pressure released because of that. And it's going to be a boundary. It also gives us an opportunity, a second, speaking about captaincy and being switched on tactically. We've got Suraf Ganguly in the commentary box talking about the importance of taking early wickets.
Thanks, Melanie. Very rightly, Michael said that tactics is very important, and Bangladesh winning the toss, getting a wicket early with the new ball, and when Virat Kohli came in, they should have probably had two slips early on. You saw the 5-meter gap between the keeper and the second slip. He was basically at second slip, and an outside edge just went in between. That's exactly what we were talking. Shomo knows about it. You could see the smile on his face and how important that wicket would have been.
I think the other thing to note too is that Mushfiqur Rahim, the keeper, didn't even go for it. Now, when you've got your first slip so wide, the keeper knows that they've got to cover that distance. The fact that he just stood there and watched it go through.
Yeah, in this instance, I don't mind if you've got a second slip or a third slip or one, but I actually think that was the problem. I think they needed to have two, whether it was second, third, fourth, whatever it was. I just think they needed two catches in that position. That's exactly what the bowler was trying to do. And if he was bowling straight, nicely played from Rohit Sharma, he was bowling straight, then you think about a catcher on the leg side. Is it a short mid-wicket? Is it a bat pad? But when you've got a left-arm bowler angling it across Virat Kohli he hasn't got many weaknesses, but probably where he's not as strong early on in his innings, that's perfect execution from the bowler. And that's your responsibility as a captain. You need to support him. You need to back him up. And most importantly, you need to find a way to get Virat Kohli out.
I think there have been coaches right across this World Cup just scribbling quickly into their notebook. And again, taking on the inner circle, Virat Kohli. He will remain on strike for the start of the 9th over, 27 for 1. Yeah, no surprises. There's a decent amount of support in here for both teams here in Cardiff. Loving the headwear. Very big Bangladeshi community here in Cardiff. A good face paint as well. Cardiff is out of glitter though. The Spice Girls were in town last night.
Yeah, I did hear that last night, Mel, not far from the hotel. I think Michael Slater actually went to the concert. He was bragging about it this morning.
Scarily, he knows a few too many words, and I think he should know.
Blames his kids, but we know it's actually Michael Slater's favourite band.
It's a little tug off the hip. There's having game plans, and then there's the execution. If you get the execution right, you're in a good opportunity and a good position to get the reward. This is Mustafiza to Darwin today. You can see that length and the consistency in the line as well. And then all of a sudden just that slightly fuller one. And got the wicket. It was going on, hitting middle and leg.
He's been brilliant. That was a big wicket of Darwin. And again, just the change of length. No real swing, no real seam. Just mixing the line, mixing the length, smart bowling. Again, good change here. Virat Kohli not on strike. So the new batsman, Rohit Sharma, is going to try around the wicket. I like this, just trying to mix it up. Bowling to a complete different batsman. So the plan to Kohli, take it across him, look to get a catch in slip. He had 2 slips, perfect. Now for Rohit Sharma, I think LBW comes more into play. So again, round the wicket, trying to attack the stumps. I think that's smart bowling.
Courtney Walsh is the bowling coach for Bangladesh. He'd be involved in the game plans, but a reminder too, Mustafiza Rahman played with Shikhar Dhawan at Sunrisers Hyderabad for a couple of seasons, would have known him and bowled to him a lot in the nets. And the change up to there, you can see on the release point as he comes around the wicket. Let's just have a look at Bangladesh at their training session yesterday. Courtney Walsh, what an absolute superstar of the game himself, now passing on a wealth of knowledge to the bowling unit from Bangladesh. Number 1 all-rounder in the world at the moment, Shakib Al Hassan. And there's the Fizz. Got a good array of deliveries. He's worked on that through the T20 format and he can bring that in when need be in the one-day internationals. And that's a good change up there as well. There's something about the Bangladesh crew. We've seen Sri Lanka over the last few warm-up games, and I know these are warm-up games and sometimes it's hard to get that intensity level, but just looking at the way in which the fielders, and particularly in their body language around the inner circle, that's been up and about, that short ball to the best one-day player in the world, that says something. Is it through? It is. A little hand on it from the short cover. Deep boundaries here at Cardiff Wales Stadium. And just dragged in. Completion of the 9th over though, and it's 32 for 1. The wicket to 4 was Shikhar Dhawan. Covers pushed in.
Wickets played pretty well, Mel. I think Michael Slater and Sourav Ganguly were at the toss, doing a pitch report, and just looking from afar, it looked like it had good coverage of grass, and I'd probably expected it to maybe not swing, but certainly seam a little bit more, but I think it's played really well. I think hence why South Africa made such a big total playing on the same surface. 3-3-8 not that long ago, a few days ago. So that's a good sign for India. Yeah, there's been a little bit of rain, but very good batting pitch. I think Bangladesh have bowled pretty well without much movement. Like I say, they've still been able to control and restrict India. As you can see, quite dry around the crease lines. That might help the spinners as well, but good even coverage of grass through the middle of the surface. That little bit of rain that got on it hasn't made any difference either. Ball's coming off nicely. There's some nice carry. That outside edge of Virat Kohli carried to where slip would have been. Batsmen find it pretty consistent.
They won't mind seeing that at all. It was a style that Hashim Amla used against Sri Lanka here a few days ago, just trying to negate any kind of sideways movement.
Yeah, listen to Virat at the toss and say, he's not too concerned about these warm-up games because these Indian players have played so much cricket. They're coming from the IPL, but just a little concern, or I'm questioning, are they fatigued mentally and physically? Are they ready to go? They could be completely ready, and he's right. If that's the case, then these games aren't that important. But if they're not, I'm really concerned. Are they fatigued? Very rarely will you see Virat Kohli on 14 runs look to come down the crease and hit someone for 6 over cover in any format.
I reckon that's a really interesting point. And let's even take it back further than the IPL. India has come off a massive, probably 12, 18 months of cricket. They had the big test series over here in England. They followed it up with a tour down in Australia. They'd never won a test series down in Australia. They went down that. They won that for the first time. So I think, and then Australia went over and played in that 5-game ODI series. They won the first 2, then lost the next 3. You just think the build-up over probably 12 months as well has been huge. Another edge that flies past that floating second slip.
Yeah, nicely bowled. Yeah, well, maybe this is one of those examples where, like we mentioned, there's so many support staff. Maybe less training, more playing, play all the games at high intensity, use these games as practice. Don't necessarily go to the nets and bat, bowl, field for 3 or 4 hours. Have that training session off to freshen up. Go somewhere else, get away from the game. But when you come to the game, I think you've got to maximise that. I think there's no better practice as a batsman than walking out to the middle and actually scoring runs. That's worth 50 net sessions, making 50 out here today.
Power play is finished, 10 overs gone, 34 for 1. To Bangladesh in the first 10 overs here at Cardiff. Got the wicket of Shikhar Dhawan. They have asked a lot of questions. Could have had Virat Kohli for a duck in between keeper and first slip. No wonder the Bangladesh flag is being waved very, very proudly. Change as well from the River Taff end. More seam bowling. Muhammad Chafuddin coming in now. Rohit Sharma on strike. 15 from 30 balls.
Back of a length to start. 127 Ks, hit the bat a little bit harder than Rohit Sharma expected. Yeah, some wonderful support for both teams. Interesting start, on, off for the rain, sun shining, a little bit of movement. Very good power play for Bangladesh, picking up the big wicket, Shikadawan, who looks out of touch, and then that's a missed opportunity for Bangladesh. It's looked good, Rowett, nice and still at the crease. Oh, and a little bit of luck as well. That ball stays a fraction low.
Same pitch that South Africa and Sri Lanka played on a couple of days ago. You can just see the different marks from that first one-day international. You can just see that below the knee roll. Caught Rohit Sharma on the crease a little bit, but certainly didn't get up as much as he expected. Looks to go that same length, that added width on that occasion allows Sharma to use his release shot down to third. And that's probably what Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli are having the discussion about now. Change of bowler, what kind of pace and height he's getting off a good length, feeding his captain some useful information. How important is that, Michael Clark, when you've come to a new ground, new stadium, new pitch, is the communication between the batters, particularly in early doors when the ball's a little bit harder?
Yeah, I think you're always looking for information from the guys that have been out in the middle. I think that information's quite powerful. You see generally batsmen when they first walk to the crease, the guy who's been out there will meet them, either halfway towards them walking out or go down to when they're marking their guard, marking centre. Beautiful shot, Virat Kohli. And I think you're just trying to pick up some little tips on, is the ball swinging? Is there any seam? What sort of pace? Anything that batsman that has spent some time at that crease can give you. Is the bowler, a good example here, is he bowling down seam? Is he bowling cross seam? Is there any turn if it's against the spinner? So you're just trying to get some little cues before you actually assess the conditions yourself. But I think every player probably needs just a little bit of time to work out type of pitch and the type of speed the bowler's bowling.
Completion of his first over. Just 2 runs coming from it. It's 36 for 1. Handy first over there from Safieddine. Just the 2 singles. Bangladesh winning the toss earlier this morning and deciding to send India in. Probably a pretty good toss to win because Virat Kohli would have done the opposite. Honours so far to Bangladesh. Pretty powerful batting lineup too. KL Rahul, MS Dhoni, Hardik Pandya, Jadeja still to come.
Yeah, interesting looking at that lineup. I think KL Rahul would love some runs. He'd love some time to cement that number 4 position. MS Dhoni 5. I still think they're a batsman short. I think they'll want a specialist batsman at 6 and Hardik at 7. But have a look here at Virat Kohli trying to get off the crease. He's just come outside of his crease as well. Little step forward. He's got a beautiful stride. What Kohli does a lot better than others is when it's full, gets himself forward, and when it's short, gets himself back. Very rarely do you see Virat Kohli caught on the crease, something that a lot of players at the start of their innings find hard. But because his eye's so good, he picks up the length of the ball so good, he can make that adjustment. He's very still. He's got a tiny little movement back and across before the ball's released, but he watches the ball so close that allows him to pick up that length.
We analysed Aaron Finch quite a bit yesterday, and that was the big difference, wasn't it? Aaron Finch is working so hard on his start of his innings. Once he gets in, his conversion rate is brilliant in the top 10, but it's just that moment where he's trying to get in, trying to push forward in comparison to the length in which we just saw there from Virat Kohli.
Yeah, Finchie's probably the opposite. He gets caught on the crease a fair bit at the start of his innings. But again, Virat's the type of player that wants to get forward into the ball. Aaron Finch sits back and looks for that short pitch bowling. Maybe conditions dictate that as well. Growing up playing in India, you can play more off the front foot, where Aaron Finch maybe in Melbourne playing more back foot shots, back foot drive, back foot pull and cut. But again, I think you need to have your own technique and your own style. It's just about trying to adjust to the conditions. Again, good example, Rohit Sharma. He's very still at the crease, doesn't move much at all. Not a big one for foot movement, but even the advance forward, just trying to put some pressure on the bowler. I think it's really smart, experienced batting.
Score predictor at the moment is sitting around that 290 mark. Now, that
Being from New Zealand, it's so good to see you shivering in this cold.
Well, we've just got to work out who's in charge here.
Well, it was you always, isn't it? Even when I was captain, John Wright was making all the decisions, and I followed like even when I was captain. John Wright was making all the decisions, and I followed like an obedient student.
My memory must have failed, because I think you were in charge and I used to just pot around in the background, so I think we'll keep it that way.
Fair enough. But lovely to be with you here. Just medium pace from Bangladesh, just allowing India to get back. Virat Kohli on 22 of just 22 of 28 deliveries. That's the captain, Mashrafi Murtaza. He's just got a few tactics wrong this morning. Winning the toss on a wicket which had a bit of help, overhead conditions. Very conducive to seam bowling. But other than Mustafizur, there's not enough pace in this attack.
Yes, it looks a good wicket. It looks a wicket that, if you can get in, it's got true bounce and possibly enough pace. You just have to get through that initial stage, and then it looks a wicket where you can play equally well off the front and back foot.
Absolutely, it's just about those early few overs. Virat Kohli making a delivery outside the off-stump. Mustafizur bowling 5. Overs 1 for 19. The wicket of Shikhar Dhawan. Murtaza very economical 3.83 per over, but nothing in the wickets column for him and Shaifuddin. And in these conditions, when you win the toss and bowl first, you want something in the wickets column. Just an open field. When you look from here, there's no slip. Rohit Sharma, 19 of 40 deliveries. He's taken his time. Just an open field for Bangladesh. The third man, a sweeper point. 4 fielders on the onside, a deep square leg, and good bowling units will still be attacking at this stage of the game. That's the field on the offside, backward point to cover, but it's that mid-wicket man. Pitched up again, trying to bowl full. End of the over, 49 for 1 India after 13. Hi, Rubal boy! Rubal! Well, 49 for 1. The Indian and Bangladeshi fans and spectators have come to watch this practice game. There were quite a few at the Oval when India played New Zealand. It has been that sort of a morning, a bit of chill in the air. But they will fill the stands up right throughout the tournament. And as the team goes around the UK and the Wales, some good matches, great competition. You will see a lot of Indian fans filling up the stands. Rubal Hussain, a bit more quicker than the other two, just 29 years of age, 123 wickets, 5 wickets once in his career, and best 6 for 26. He'll have a bit of pace. As they talk about batting, it's probably the best in the world at the moment. Very good against left-arm spin. You tend to expect that when you're born in India, play spin all your life. Leg spin, average is 73. But his weakness, or I would say rather a lesser batting average, is against left-arm pace. Very good on the onside.
The other feature about Kohli is running between the wickets. He gets his innings established early. Quick singles. I was the opposition, planning how to get him out. I'd try and keep that offside field as close as possible and early in his innings. Put him under pressure to try and take away those quick single opportunities.
And make him hit through the onside. That's bowled in. A sharp delivery from Rubal Hussain. As we said, a bit quicker than the other two. And Rohit Sharma dragging back onto the stumps.
And as an example, the change of bowling and the change of pace and the first ball that you're facing, just a bit quicker. And sometimes when there's a bowling change, someone new comes on, you've just got to have a look just to get the pace of the wicket, the pace of the bowler.
Well, India lose their second wicket, 50 for 2. Rohit Sharma dismissed for 19. And we come back, we got Rubel. To the wicket when you come back. In comes KL Rahul joining his captain. Just a bit of a tricky situation for India. 50 for 2. There has been a lot of talk about India's middle order. They were exposed against New Zealand in the previous warm-up game, and it's a good opportunity for Rahul as well. 27 years of age, a very good young player, but just struggled in these conditions. Early days in his ODI career, just 13 innings, best of 100, average 34. A great opportunity for him. He's got all the talent in the world. He's just got to put up a performance in this competition.
Yes, he's got the talent. I think he has the technique. And now it's about the temperament. He's got to get used to that number 4 position. It's a critical question that India has to answer. Who is best at number 4? I'd just like to see him bat. To go out there, spend some time at the crease. Kohli's strike rate.
Very rightly, as you said, spend some time at the crease. Just back himself. He normally likes batting at the top of the order. This is a different role for him. That's the wicket of Rohit Sharma. He's very good on the short ball, but not this time. Just back of the length, inside edge, and he drags it onto the middle stump.
Yes, whenever there's a bowling change, you try to play each ball on its merits. But sometimes that first or second delivery, you just want to have a look. There's a change of pace, there's a change of bounce.
That's a good shot. It's a confident looking shot. Coming back to bowling change, John. Just bowled in the 13th over. Rubel Hussain. He's just got a bit of pace, bit of zip, a lot quicker than Mashraf Murtaza or Shaifuddin. Should have probably bowled a little earlier, just when Virat Kohli came in. After Mustafizur finishing his 5 overs, try and get that wicket of Virat Kohli. But nonetheless, he struck with Rohit Sharma. Good delivery, a good over. Just a run and a wicket, 50 for 2. If it's some... Saifuddin is in his 3rd over, bowling from the far end, the river end. Just the right pace for Kohli. 127 kilometers an hour. You're not worried about the one whizzing past your nose. Just get onto the front foot and cover the seam and the swing.
Yes, and back to KL Rahul, I would imagine that Kohli is a great person to bat with, because he's going to, you'll never really have to worry about the strike rate, because he scores at such a rate that takes pressure off the other batsman, particularly if he's coming in, particularly if it's a practice game. You're wanting to get your innings started. You're wanting to consolidate your place. So go back to, I think Rahul is a wonderful player. He just needs to bat.
Absolutely, I agree with him. And I don't think he would be worried about the strike rate, KL Rahul. The problem for him in these conditions has been a bit of belief. At some stage we'll bring you back the dismissal against New Zealand, but just went to the middle of the bat onto the stumps.
Next up.
Just got to back himself, hit the ball in front of the wicket, and he's a fine player.
Run him out. 40 come.
At times gets very tentative, especially against fast bowling in these conditions, tries to play late, at times too late. And I think that has been the reason for his dismissal in these conditions. Gets off the mark, very good on the onside. Coming back to the Indian batting order, as you very rightly said, there has been a lot of talk about the middle order, KL Rahul, or there's an option with Vijay Shankar, MS Dhoni to bat at 5. We saw Hardik Pandya coming in at number 5 in the last game. Kedar Yadav not fit, he bats at 6. So India will still have to get this part of their game right. Very good at the top with Dhawan, Sharma, Virat Kohli. But there will be questions down the order. Very good shot. That's how good he is. Hits on the up, and doesn't matter whether you have a deep point. That's the longer part of the boundary, and it races away to the fence.
To great players, sometimes no matter where you place your sweeper, the ball is timed so sweetly that he can take not only the infield, but the sweeper completely out of play.
It's still a good line to Kohli. Very good shot. But if you have to get him out, that's where it is. And that's how he's so good. It's hit a boundary and he gets off the strike very, very quickly.
And that's a good example of why KL Rahul can afford to play himself in. Because Kohli is going 29, 34 balls. India can consolidate. The big thing, I think, is they can get to 30 overs with wickets in hand.
Another single to finish off the over. A good one for India. 8 from it, 58 for 2. Well, 58 for 2 and a very popular dance in the modern era. They say it's the floss, and John Wright was very good at that. And my friend, very, very dear friend on my right, fantastic person, was very good at this floss. Shouldn't try at this age though, John.
I'm afraid I can't waggle my hips like I used to.
This beats him on the outside. Good pace from Rubel, 136 kilometers an hour.
And good length. You know, 80% of the wickets are taken in 20% of the area of the pitch. You're committing the batsman forward. Most batsmen don't want to come forward early in their innings.
Especially in England. That's the length to bowl. Pitch up, allow the ball to do a bit. Do you remember a game in South Africa, John, when we went in the 2003 World Cup? They say practice games are important, playing it down to third man. And this is India's second warm-up game before they start their campaign against South Africa. And we played a game against Natal B in Durban, if I'm correct.
In Durban.
In Durban. And I remember at the start of the game, when we saw that squad Natal B playing against India, there were a few questions in the dressing room. Will they get enough for us to have a good practice? I still remember those words. Outside edge. That'll go to the fence. Well, in the previous over, Kohli hit one through the offside. It was the first boundary of these innings without an outside edge. But this one, once again an outside edge and runs down to third man for 4. There is a bit of help in this surface. Rubel Hussain, 138 kilometers an hour. Well, he's been in no man's land right throughout. One went from his right, one went from his left. That's his friend onto the pads. Coming back to the game against Natal B. John, do you remember the scores?
No, I don't remember the scores, but I certainly remember the result. In fact, I think at one stage we had them in a bit of trouble and we gave them a few runs just so we could have a bit of practice to chase a reasonable total.
And then lost the game.
I think we might have even played with a red ball.
Yes, I think so. Red ball coloured clothing. But the end result was something not to write home about. We'll come back to that.
Yes.
A place down to third man. And we lost the game against a club team, as they used to say.
Well, I know my complexion matched the colour of the red ball at the end of the match. But there was an interesting... Something very important came out of that game, actually, because we had been batting Sachin Tendulkar at 4, and you and I had a chat, it involved Kumble and Srinath, and we actually changed the batting order, and you had to bat 3, which is something you didn't enjoy.
Last ball of the over, down to fine leg. That's not a good delivery. Well, a 4 through the offside, and a 4 on the onside to finish the over. Kohli moves on to 38, 69 for 2. Previous over, the last ball just down the leg side. It's meat and drink for Virat Kohli. The angle taking him onto the onside. It's not that bad a delivery, John, isn't it? He just picked it from middle and leg.
But you don't have to get much wrong when you're bowling at truly great players. They'll take advantage of any small error.
As you said, the Natal B game, then Tendulkar getting on to open and had a fantastic World Cup. The player of the tournament, the Sir Garfield Sobers Trophy. And we have a friend with us, I don't know whether he was in that squad, Michael Clark, winning the World Cup. You know, the young Virat Kohli here, wouldn't say young, a very good player. Very important player for India. A lot in the world cricket say that he will probably be the one to break Tendulkar's record. Inside edge. And we have another fantastic player, the great Australian captain Michael Clark, to say to all of you what he thinks about Virat Kohli.
Yeah, Sarah, very kind words, but yeah, he is a superstar, there's no doubt about it. And I just want to show the difference here between Kohli and Shikhar Dhawan. This is Dhawan's dismissal today. Have a look at his head position, not his feet, his head. It's back behind the front leg. Now have a look at Virat. And a lot of people talk about moving your feet, getting off the crease. It's not just about moving your feet. Bend that front leg and get that head. Get that head over the top of that ball. That's the difference. And once again, Virat Kohli is good enough to do it in defence and in attack.
Very rightly. Batting is all about the head being in the right position. He's a good player though, Shikhar Dhawan.
Come on, boys.
As rightly said by Michael Clark, just hanging back a bit. 73 for 2 India. Kohli scoring the bulk of the runs, 41 of just 38. It just goes to show how good he is in these conditions. Just 38 deliveries to get to 41. And just goes to show how important he will be in this campaign. On the front foot, sending him back very rightly so. That's Shikhar Dhawan for you.
Yes, and looking at Dhawan's dismissal today, I would be looking at the guard he's taken to the left-arm bowler. He's standing on about leg stump. I think he needs to think about getting across, getting his guard across to middle, say, so he can cover that line from the left arm, so he can get outside the line for the LBW. And then he doesn't have so far to go to the ball, and that's another good shot. It's a little short. Good timing. They pick up 2. It's the end of the over. India 75 for 2, and that's drinks.
Sharma at one end, Virat Kohli at the other. Well played, slightly offline, straying onto the pads. Slightly in the air, but well timed. He'll get 4 for it. Well, there you go. Got to be pinpoint accurate against Virat Kohli.
Oh, just missed it. Chandapal Hemraj, and Virat Kohli goes to his 49th half-century in one-day internationals. Usually he converts so well, usually.
And what he's done, he's tried to play the ball straight in the B's. Another fine boundary from him.
Drives well. Another 100, the 36th in his ODI career. Take a bow, Virat Kohli.
All-inspiring, 5th against the Windies.
And he's gone. Bit of turn. Very good stumping that by Shea Hope.
That's a wicket of the last ball of Devendra Bish's 7th over. He gets the Indian skipper for 140, 256 for 2.
Well, 75 for 2 India. Very strong start. Led by Virat Kohli, 41 of just 38. Well, it's a very important game for India. Especially for the batsman who needs some runs under his belt. They don't play for another 6 days after this game and before they start their campaign against South Africa. And very rightly, as you said, John, how much meaning does this practice game have, especially when you have a 6-day break after this?
Well, the relevance, there's such a big gap between this game and your first game. And India have to be mindful, though, because their first fixture is against South Africa. And they'll be playing South Africa when they're playing their 3rd match in the tournament. So they're playing against a team that has had good, hard match practice. And South Africa are a strong side. They're coming into play against them with their first game. So they've got plenty of time, not only with this practice game, they've got time to work out what their build-up's going to be leading into that game. How are they going to simulate those match conditions? That it just goes up a level, particularly for India.
Yeah, as you very rightly said, it's about rhythm. Having a good laugh, Virat Kohli, with the Bangladesh keeper. And he's a terrific character. coming back to the game. You're talking about rhythm, you're talking about confidence. This man needs one. He's very much a confidence player, had a terrific IPL in the T20 format last couple of months, but this is different conditions. Away from the flat pitches of Chandigarh, Mohali, to Cardiff in a cold morning with the ball doing a bit. Just got to keep an eye on his skipper, how well he has batted, how well his feet has moved. Rubel to start his third over. That's a good area to bowl to Virat Kohli.
It's a given. If Virat Kohli has a good World Cup tournament, India will do well. But you need to take a bit of pressure off your main man, and I also believe that if India can solve the number 4 position and get someone in there that performs consistently.
And very good running between the wickets. Off the block straight away. That's exactly what you were trying to say. These boys are very quick. Very good backing by KL Rahul as well. That's what you need to do in these conditions. It's always not going to be that big booming cover drive, that punch off the back foot. But have a look at this. Just takes the pressure off Kohli. Just rotates the strike, gets the bowler to think differently.
If we could wind the clock back, imagine Ganguly and Kohli running together.
Easy. Easy, John. How many times have you been proved wrong in those 6 years? In terms of the running between the wickets, the fitness levels, the cardio levels. I would have loved that. Ganguly 3, Kohli 4, easy singles. An effort ball, trying to just bowl it a fraction quicker down the leg side. Yeah, it's 139 kilometers, almost 140. You could see it in the grunt in the last minute from Rubel.
Yes, just that extra effort, pushing it down the leg side. But the thing is with KL Rahul, if he could perform, make that position his own, the running between the wickets between these two could be very, very good. They would be a good combination because they're both quick.
This time off the back foot. They all run well between the wickets. MS Dhoni to come after this at number 5. He's brilliant. And Hardik Pandya does a great job. Dinesh Karthik runs well between the wickets. Coming back to KL Rahul's form, if he starts playing well, he will take a lot of pressure off Virat Kohli's shoulders. He's so important, Virat Kohli. Every time he gets 100, India win 83% of the games. That's what you call a match winner. This plays down to third man, a slower delivery. Coming back to KL Rahul's technique, I just get a feeling more often than not he plays the ball too late. Rather see him hit in front of the square, pass mid-on on the right side of the covers. But at times in these conditions he looks to hit too much behind point to third man, and that's the reason he's nicked a few times, dragged a few deliveries onto the stumps. Great opportunity for him. Very good. He'll hit you all day long if you bowl there. Just walks across and let the bat meet the ball. It races away to the fence. Takes him on to 46.
Don't go there.
Hits it with the full face of the bat. Walks across, lets the ball come into him and just uses the wrists. Uses the angle very, very well. Got to get further outside the off stump. Short delivery. 8 runs from this over. 83 for 2 after 18.
Things looking good for India at this stage. They've lost those 2 wickets, but it's still not a run rate they'd like to be progressing at, 4.6. And Kohli is starting to motor. Oh, he swatted that. It got really big on him, and he somehow was able to bring it down to the turf before mid-wicket. He probably thought he had a catching opportunity. It was like a periscope.
Since Mashrafi Murtaza has taken over the leadership of Bangladesh, you see something that is very eye-catching is the tactics. He's a thinker, Mashrafi Murtaza. He's a very smart captain. I've never seen any bowling opposition bowl so many bounces to Virat Kohli. He loves to get onto the front foot. And he gets a big stride forward. Sometimes he just walks down the pitch and defends fast bowlers. But not too many bowlers look to sort of try the short ball and see how he reacts to it. We've seen at least 3 or 4 so far in Bangladesh. So well done to Mashrafi Murtaza. I was really impressed when he almost beat India in that World T20 in India. Close game that India eventually won. His captaincy is really impressive.
Yeah, the only thing that'll be ruining Sanj is that he had 1 slip in play when there was an outside edge, and he was standing more at a second slip. So he's probably kicking himself that he wasn't at a stock standard first slip, or that he didn't have 2 slips in play. Because Kohli, particularly in England, any batsman's vulnerable outside their off stump early on, but Kohli in England in particular, when he hadn't scored runs in Test series, was getting caught behind a lot and caught behind the wicket. Oh, bowls him. Gets one through. It's the Yorker. Wow, he was going to Kohli. So you talk about the short stuff. There's the Yorker. Then he gets the gold.
Goal the second time. And just out of the blue, like last time, Colin de Grandon on that occasion. This time Chef, not the frontline bowlers, is getting out to almost like part-time seam bowlers. It was Grandon in the last match, Chef this game, so David just taking his eyes off a little bit, intensity-wise. Virat Kohli gone for 47, it's 83 for 3.
Big moment for Bangladesh. They've got to see the back of Virat Kohli. He's in the pavilion now, taking the pads off. Vijay Shankar gets an opportunity. This is the important phase for India, I think, with Rahul and the likes of Shankar. This middle order, they need some time in the middle.
Big moment for Vijay Shankar, big moment for Indian cricket in the sense that they've been looking for that number 4 position for this World Cup. So I was a little surprised that Lokesh Rahul came in at number 4 with Vijay Shankar fit, because all the talk that we were getting from the team management or the selectors was all about the clues that were picking up that Vijay Shankar would be India's first choice number 4, but it seems like he's been relegated to second choice number 4. The interesting thing is Rahul has just had 3 innings at number 4 in one-day cricket for India. Vijay Shankar none. So India still sorting out that position, but this is a big moment.
He is, and got himself into an awkward position. He does like to work it to the onside, but it just off the pad into off stump. So there was a gap there because he played across it. It was almost like that really full length. Surprised Kohli. Wasn't expecting it at all.
Love the attitude from the bowler.
answer to finish. Welcome to the crease. It's 83 for 3. Sharma, Shikadawan having a blow. They've batted. They've come and gone. It's 8 India. Just talking about the importance of these two innings at the moment. Rahul had another very good IPL. But he's adjusting to this form of the game that after T20 feels very long. You have the ability to do that, to get in and face some deliveries. There's no immediate urgency while you start to get your eye in. He's a classy player, there's no doubt about it. I love watching him play. So many of these Indian players are delightful to watch. Not sure whether that was deliberate from Mohammad Saifuddin, but it can be an option to bowl to Virat Kohli. Have a look at this ball, whether it's a deliberate Yorker tried by him or it just happened because Virat Kohli is so keen to get onto that front foot that this also can be an option that could be tried against him. You can see he was surprised by the length of the ball. Nobody bowls Yorkers to Virat Kohli. Generally outside the off stump, they want to keep it there. Nicely played. He's met it early too, Rahul. That's why it's gone so forward. The point, he saw it early, it stood up and he's whacked it away. Well, he can hit sixes in that area of the front foot, of the back foot. And he gets explosive. There's nobody like him. I mean, he's just incredible. Saw those kind of shades in the last IPL. This time it was a little more subdued. Look, is Rahul. He's got the big game if needed. But India at the moment want to see whether he has the second and third gear. We know he has the top gear. Yeah, that's about the ability to just rotate, strike, play a long innings, get 6-7 runs and over through singles, the odd boundary, and then just explode in the last 10-15 overs. They've got Hardik Pandya, they've got Dhoni who can do that. Just need somebody like Virat Kohli hitting the ball along the ground, taking fewer risks to just keep that scoreboard ticking at 4.5, 5 runs and over. He's got good hands, hasn't he, Rahul? That's what we're noticing today is sort of Ganguly was saying sometimes he feels he plays the ball too late. I quite like that over here. I quite like the softness of hands and playing the ball late under the eyes. You see that Kane Williamson is one of those players. He's a top-class player. One of the latest ball strikers I've ever seen. Did you see Hashim Amrabat the other day at Bristol? It's just brilliant. Like, an exhibition of how to bat in these conditions, playing the ball really late, nothing with an angled bat. And he scored it almost 100 strike rate without taking any risks. 5 from the over. That's the end of the 20th. It's 88 for 3. but Wooden will continue. And even though it's a warm-up game, there was a big cheer when he got the wicket of Coley. Anytime you can get that scout, it's just that little notch, isn't it? The world's best. Rahul on strike. He hit his first boundary in the last over. And maybe his second one right there. Latches onto a delivery that's just short of a good length.
Yeah, that's one thing that Lucas Rahul has. He's got the 360-degree game. He's one of those guys who plays reverse flick and reverse sweep among the Indian batsmen better than anyone else. Just a little short and very instinctive pull shot from Lokesh Rahul. He's looking good. 17 of 21.
Yeah, nice drive. So he advances onto that front foot. So the last 10 overs, we saw the wicket of Rohit Sharma playing it on. That was an edge, and then you saw some very precise footwork. That was a little edgy there from Kohli. Control through the onside. Loves to get into that zone, but he just did it once too often. Almost yorked himself. Well, Rahul is just starting to motor now. So he's faced the 22 balls. We're back live. And Shanker's off the mark.
Okay, I'm going to be excited with that single. People will be wondering what's wrong with this guy. Because that was nice from Vijay Shankar, and I think that is the expectation. We know Rahul has the shot, but the expectation from your number 4 is somebody who can just come in and keep picking up those ones and twos, and that's a good way to play it. You just mentioned close to the body. Played that fashion, Vijay Shankar.
That's flicked nicely. So the slowness of pitch working there for Rahul. He was able to thread it just to the right side of mid-wicket, and he comes back very comfortable too. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it might seem innocuous and mundane when you're just watching it, but it is one of the most vital aspects for India in this World Cup. They've got some class at the top, 1, 2, 3, no doubt about it, but the middle is where you've got to have reliable batsmen who can just keep that pace in the innings. And then they've got the final flourish to Hardik Pandya and Kedar Jadhav. If he plays, he's got the big game as well. There's no need to. Oh, that kept low.
Yeah, that's a little too late to play. Kept low, hit the toe end of the bat, and it bounces over the stumps. So he's having a look at the bottom of his bat. He gets lucky there. It nearly rocks that zing bail on the off stump. So it was a little bit fuller than he thought. He misjudges the length on that occasion. So that's probably because he's been sat back a little bit from this length from Shayfudden. 282 we're predicting. It's a good over for India though. That's 8 runs from it, 96 for 3. Rahul, I like what he can do at the crease. He's got a great technique, Rahul, and Sanjay, I think he's got the gears. We see it in T20. He's turned himself from a long-form player into that T20 player, and I think he can really blend the two here nicely in this ICC World Cup. But I also like the competition that these warm-up games present. If these two are batting out for a number 4 position, there is pressure on them. Khawaja, Shaun Marsh, there's another one. And it was Kawaja who won the battle yesterday. Sean Marsh holding out. He got to 30 and then tried to whack one for 6 and got caught in the deep. So I just love the pressure of this man against man. You're still part of the same unit, but you're fighting for a position.
Again, good signs from Vijay Shankar, just taking off a single, the third man. What about the bowlers as well? Australia, Madden Zampa and Nathan Lyon competing for that one spot. And that battle, I guess Nathan Lyon won yesterday, although Zampa didn't bowl badly. Nathan Lyon in 2 warm-up matches has been extraordinary.
Yeah, they're quietly confident, I think, Australia. They've got a lot out of the 2 fixtures they've played. There's been a couple of washouts for sides, so that maybe hurt them a little bit running into the games proper.
You see fast bowlers sustaining injuries. I mean, it's a very difficult job, unnatural to the human body. But I just wonder whether Rubel Hussain will ever have a lower back stiffness, because every ball, before he delivers every ball, there's that massive stretch that he gives himself. He'll take a step forward, then take a position, and here comes the stretch. I can't see his back letting him down.
That's another beautiful strike there from Rahul. So he did size it up for about 20 deliveries, and now that strike rate increases. And this is good middle over batting from India.
His first Test 100 came in Australia. So he loves this kind of stuff. The fast stuff. He's a good player of the short ball. Drives well, pulls well. So this is just the right kind of stuff for him. Pace close to 140 kilometers per hour.
Smart batting, a single. And if you're in the Indian side and sitting on that balcony, Ravi Shastri, Virat Kohli, they want him to go on. They need to see some hunger from these guys. Don't worry about Kohli, you don't worry about some of the others, but you want Rahul and Shankar, if he gets going, to get the big one. And that deep into the innings. There's MS Dhoni. Dinesh Karthik. Gone. Shankar's out of there. Outside edge, short of a good length. Another good moment for Bangladesh.
I was talking about Hashim Amla in that game at Bristol on a similar pitch. What he was doing was really keeping that bat very close to the body. Even when playing this shot, they're taking the no ball just to be sure. And that's fine. So Vijay Shankar will have to continue walking. Have a look at the shot now. Forcing shot of the back foot, angle bat away from the body. Extremely hazardous in England. So Vijay Shankar's gone. Was an unfit last game, so that one opportunity before the first official World Cup match is gone for him. He's gone for 102 for 4.
Another legend of Indian cricket, MS Dhoni. He always makes that quick stride out to the crease. He's a cool dude.
I don't want to put the commentator's curse on him, but you'll see how he will defend balls. He'll play the ball very late, as you were prescribing. We'll see Dhoni do it.
So that wicket was the final ball of the last over. So it's all back on strike. 25 from 28. Even more important now that he doesn't get out. And this gets the partnership going with MS Dhoni. 37 years of age. What a player he's been. Over 10,000 runs, and he's still one of those guys where you think he could have an electric ICC World Cup.
They're just about 11 matches if India reaches the finals, and he's 11 short of 300. And this new bowler is Abu Jayed Chaudhary Rahi.
So what is it, 11 to the final? And then it'll be a neat 300. Is that what you're saying, Sam? So you've penciled in the final, have you?
I'm just saying. Yeah, not a good shot from Vijay Shankar. It's a shot from India that's played in England. I'm saying he's on 289 one-dayers, and the team reaches the final. They play 11 matches in total.
Another boundary. KL is on a roll now. And it was a bit of a juicy one, short and wide. It got what it deserved.
And India have got their number 4. I think after Vijay Shankar's failure, I mean, it's a bit tough. You just get the one opportunity, but this is how the game goes. When you're competing for one spot, you've got to grab it. And as luck would have it, Vijay Shankar failed, and Rahul is looking really good. That was a magnificent shot there.
Be a little disappointed, I'd say, with the number of wickets that have fallen. We're in the 23rd over. You wouldn't want another wicket to fall now. Only 107 India here, so Bangladesh have put in a good effort till now. So Rahi, it's a very important bowling spell here. He's the new bowler.
What's with these Bangladeshi seamers and 5-wicket hauls? He just played a couple of matches, he's got a 5-wicket haul. Mustafizur had 2 in his first 2 games, and then there's another 5-wicket haul down his career. Yeah, that's what they're talking. What do you think? Vijay Shankar, Lokesh Rahul is looking good. No warm-up games after this, so the only place you can impress a captain will be in the nets, unless their minds are made up. Vijay Shankar obviously has one little added feature to his cricket, is his bowling. Can bowl maybe 3-4 overs. Seam bowling, which Rahul is not an option, but the way he's playing today.
The think tank, Ravi Shastri, Virat Kohli. I'd love to be a fly on the wall and just hear what they're talking about. It was Ravi Shastri's birthday yesterday. His last campaign as coach, I believe. Probably see him in the commentary box before you know it. Been a broadcaster in the past. Or he might just retire. But we're seeing a watchful Rahul, aren't we? We're seeing the explosive shots, anything in his own, and then outside of that, there's some real care being taken. Technically,
yeah, he's dealt mostly in boundaries. He's got 4 fours of his 29. So at number 4, if India back Lokesh Rahul, that's how he's going to sort of have pace to his innings, by hitting boundaries. And if the batting coach wants to push him further, could encourage him to, just in these warm-up matches, also develop the other game of picking up singles and couples. There you go, another glorious boundary. He's looking in fantastic touch today. 111 for 4. Yeah, as we said, he's got the whole range as a batsman to hit 4s. And he's also got the other game as well. The same shot is hit. I mean, the ball is hit in the stand. The same shot, just an extension of it you see in IPL cricket.
.33 from 34, Rahul. He's looking fantastic. And now it's Dhoni. He'll be facing his first delivery. Looking forward to seeing how he goes about things. There's so many overs to bat in this innings, so he doesn't have to be too expansive, and this is where I think you will see him just knock it around. He's so clever, the way he just hits the gaps, gets the singles. But captaincy-wise, they've closed him in. They've got a slip and they've got a very much a ring in the offside. Only 2 men out. Through to the keeper. Now we've got the old pro, John Wright. What have you got for us?
Well, back in the day, you were playing county cricket. The old English county professional batsmen would say, if in doubt, push out. And that means that if you're facing a medium-pace bowler and there's a bit of seam about, look to go forward early. I think that's one thing Virat Kohli does very well. And KL Rahul, I think if he just has it in the back of his mind, that thought to look to get his feet going, look to get out forward, it may help him, particularly early in his innings. If in doubt, push out.
There we go. If in doubt, push out. John Wright wired straight into the brain of MS Dhoni. Perfect.
As always, John Wright spot on with his analysis. But what I've really enjoyed is Michael Slater's voice and then John Wright's voice. It's very intimate, very soft-spoken, isn't it?
You're saying, I'm just a blaster. Is that what you're saying?
Setting the bar high as flats. Now this is where you've got to look at Dhoni's technique. People don't pay attention to his defensive technique so much. You just saw Vijay Shankar pushing at the ball outside the off stump, getting out. But this guy will leave balls outside the off stump. He'll also play the ball very close to his body. That is the point that John Wright was making. Look at Virat Kohli meeting all those balls. That is against seam, and he's actually very unique. He just goes way down the pitch like no other batsman in the world does, and Rahul more orthodox, I guess. There are different ways to play in England. We saw Hashim Amla. He wasn't really going down the pitch that much. He was just playing the ball late. You'll see Dhoni do that. He won't go down the pitch too much like Virat Kohli, but he'll still look compact, handle the seaming conditions. The different ways. Skin a cat.
There we have our live field positions. If they move any of those fieldsmen, you'll see the white dots. So I need 3 men out. He can have 4. And there are those fast hands of MS Dhoni. It's been a feature of his career. Got a short back lift and he lifts those hands through the ball.
It's just amazing when you see Dhoni, the modern day player, playing T20 cricket, extremely successful as a batsman leader. But he's just got this old-fashioned way of reading the game and playing the game. He's a backfoot player to begin with. The moment he sees movement, it's backfoot play, the kind Ian Chappell would advocate. In moving conditions, don't try to get onto the front foot. That was the old gospel of batting. Seaming conditions, go on the back foot. They believe that batting has to be off the back foot, and Dhoni does that. And then you've got Virat Kohli, equally successful, more successful, going right forward.
So one rearing up, but controlled nicely. A roll. He's got himself going. He needs to keep going. It's 117 for 4.
Seven for 4 after 24 overs here at Cardiff Wales Stadium. coolish day, but nice to see some blue sky and the sun poking out for what will have a massive following around the world. It's going to be the first time we're going to see spin here from Bangladesh. Shakib Al-Hassan coming on from the River Taff end, ranked number 19 in the world for his bowling. He's the number 1 all-rounder in the world. He's come on at a pretty good time for Bangladesh here. 4 wickets, 4 key Indian wickets already. That doesn't faze KL Rahul though. You put it short, I'm going to put you deep.
Well, that's bad a ball. You've still got to put them away. But it's meat and drink. The KL Rahul got what it deserved.
Making a real statement here in this warm-up game. There was competition for spots and he's putting his hand up at the moment. 40 from just 36 deliveries.
Issue right now. If India were to take one thing out of this game, if KL Rahul could go on and get a good score, a big score, it'd be a huge plus for their campaign. Because you want players to feel confident going into a tournament, feel like they're ready, prepared, and there's nothing like runs and time in the middle.
He just tried to block up that mid-wicket area with a change in the field, but Rahul's still up to the task. Let's see if they shift anything here for MS Dhoni. It looks as if they're sticking with the same. So deep cover, long on, long off, and a deep mid-wicket. The 4 allowed fielders outside the inner circle in this phase of the game. Only faced the 5 deliveries so far. You may have thought, get on the attack.
So I'm interested in the fact that if this wasn't a practice game, would have Bangladesh persisted with Singh just for 1 or 2 more overs with Dhoni new to the crease? Faced a lot of spin bowling.
And Doc to finish off the first for Al-Hassan. 1, 2, 4 for 4. All smiles from the Indian supporters. An opportunity to stay at home and support their nation as well. Trying to think of who's going to be in more photos today. That man centre of screen today, and some of the players.
It's one of the things that I think was always worth reinforcing for the players when you represent India, is that you do have the privilege and the opportunity and the responsibility to represent, I always believe, the most passionate, loyal and ardent cricket fans. And winning and losing is part of the game, but they deserve a good fight. Every time you play for India, you've got to go out and fight for the country.
Well, I think Leon Drive is one of the most gorgeous shots in cricket, whether you play it in a T20, a one-day international or a test match. And KL Rahul, that is straight out of the coaching manual.
Yes, and he's gaining in confidence. It's over pitch, but he's looking to come forward. And you're right. when you play a straight drive, you know that your balance is right, particularly if it goes on the onside.
Well, you know firsthand the passion from Indian supporters, having coached India, coached them at a World Cup, coached them in the South African World Cup. Did you guys lose a warm-up game early doors against Natal, B-side?
Yes, we did. Saurav and I were reminiscing about it earlier, and it certainly sharpened the focus. We couldn't go much lower than that. We're at a tough stage because we've been to New Zealand and had a pretty dreadful tour. We played on green wickets, and before that we've been playing excellent cricket for a whole year, and we firmly believed that we were a side that could win the World Cup. So we had that hiccup, not only in New Zealand but against Natal B. So then we had to work very hard in the nets at maintaining that belief at the same time that if we got our form back, that we would be contenders.
You certainly were.
Yes, but we got hammered by Australia in the first game. And people in India, our fans, quite deservedly weren't too happy about us. Sachin made a presidential statement that we were trying, please keep the faith. And we went back to the nets. And then we played Holland. Weren't that convincing. But a win. And the critical game next was we had to go to play Zimbabwe and Harare. And they were a good team. And that was a match that I was worried about personally as coach because it was a make or break one. And that's where you need your big players to stand up. And I'll never forget, Sachin, I think, got 90 odd. He led the way and the rest followed. Saurav got 100 against Namibia, and all of a sudden we were back on track.
Well, if KL Rahul keeps playing like this, he will be the Sachin Tendulkar at the start of this tournament. He has timed them superbly well, both off the front foot on this occasion and off the back.
Sometimes when you watch a young player, you just see someone who stands out. But if he gets it right, particularly I think the mental side of his game, they could go a long way. And KL Rahul, I've watched him at various levels, Test, ODI, IPL, and he just looks like he should be at this level.
And with that, he chalks up his 50. Goes KL Rahul with just 45 deliveries. And it looks as if at the moment he's playing on a completely different pitch. The coach is happy. The score moves to 135 for 4. Quite fitting for KL Rahul at the moment because he is the leading run scorer for India, 51 from 45. Pumped a long way into the stand did Shakib Al Hassani's first ball to KL Rahul. Coming into his second over and he's getting into his groove a little bit more flight. very well does MS Dhoni. Looks like he's got all the time in the world because of that.
A lot of pressure on players, even in practice games, and you can almost see that relief. The coach, I don't blame him, obviously very pleased. But there's pressure. In a perfect world, what you want to see is a batsman that's hungry enough and hard enough to push on.
Is that what is one of the big differences between the good and then the very good, is the ability to handle that pressure?
Yes, I think it was Sir Leonard Hutton way back said that the thinking part of batting's about 80% of the game. That's the end of the over. 1-3-6 for 4.
Rahul with a strike rate, a little tick over 100, 106 at the moment. 7 fours and a 6 to his name in his half century. And 8 and over will get India over 300. It's been a challenging phase here for Bangladesh. Spin has not been a happy hunting ground here at Cardiff Wales Stadium. Very short boundaries straight.
Yes, India need a partnership. Probably need these two to go through to at least 200. You look at the batting lineup and you think they could get themselves into a position after 31 overs. The likes of Hardik Pandya particularly, Kedif when he gets fit. They can really capitalise on that last 15, 10 overs. And that's when you can turn a good score into a very, very tough score. A game plan in South Africa, for instance, looking back, was trying to get the 31 overs 2 or 3 down. We knew we could double it from there.
We've got at one end in the non-striker at the moment KL Rahul, who is pretty much all-out attack. Right from the moment that he's strode to the crease, he's found the middle of the bat.
Talk about Dhoni, the captain, and his explosive play. Not too many people realize he's a good defensive player. Good leave outside the off stump. Watch this. Plays very late, very close to the body, so he's got a good... the immovable object. And I've just seen an earth-shattering stat with his batting when it comes to his defensive batting. And that's why he's one of the harder batsmen to dismiss. Dhoni failing in one-day cricket is not something you see very often. Sometimes it goes slow, sometimes it goes quicker. But getting out early is something that doesn't happen with Dhoni. And once again, you'll see him play that kind of an innings. Have a look at this. Most not outs in one-day cricket. It's... Mahendra Singh Dhoni 83, but the earth-shattering stat is 184 balls that he has defended to. He's got out just once. So when he plays defensive cricket, he gets out once, 184 balls. That's more than 30 overs. It's 139 for 4.
The statistics in the game are coming through absolutely unbelievable. Just add weight to the legend of Dhoni. This will be a key matchup here. The best all-rounder in the world up against, as we've just heard there from Sandra Mandraker, one of the best defenders in the world. Can he get through the defences of MS Dhoni? Not many have.
No, they're interesting, aren't they, statistics, I think. You know what? You can have too many stats sometimes, but what they do tell you is the proof in the pudding. They reinforce an idea or a trend that you think may be there.
As a coach, did you rely on them a lot?
I like the stats, but I don't want them to cloud my thinking. I look for trends.
It's chipped nicer. There's going to be a battle on between fielder and ball, and the ball will win.
The power of MS Dhoni. Didn't really get hold of that. Probably wanted to hit it a little higher over that mid-wicket.
This is probably a third of the helicopter here. Didn't really go through with the full flourish. Just held back a little bit, making sure he could get the placement right. Beat him in flight on that occasion. It's a good comeback. So, John, talk us through the trends in comparison to statistics a little bit more.
Well, if you get enough statistics, I can get the word out, eventually you'll see something that may be reoccurring. And that's what you look for. Sometimes you see a fellow that, he continually gets out to this delivery or that type of bowler. Sometimes that information can be useful. Sometimes it works. You give yourself a pat on the back when it does. And otherwise, it can be worth absolutely nothing. It's 144 for 4.
I think the other thing as well for coaches is that the more you're armed with statistics, it doesn't mean you have to actually pass it on to the players as well. You can pick and choose the moments to drip feed through certain patterns of trends or some hard facts. And some you just might keep to yourself.
Well, you're handling someone like Virender Sehwag, for instance. I wouldn't go near him with any statistics or facts or anything at all that would cloud his thinking.
So for some players, happy to pass through as much information as possible, and for others, you hold back a little bit.
Yes, Molly. Some players want that information. They enjoy it. Anil Kumble, for instance, is very analytical. Used to watch replays a lot. Others are completely different. They're not interested. They want to see the game in their own eyes. You encourage that. It's very important understanding each player individually.
Well, that's turned and it's beaten absolutely everybody. MS Dhoni, he doesn't need his bat. He won't need it to make the runs that has gone all the way through for extras. And he'll pick it up now.
Well, if any of the Indian spinners are watching from the balcony, this is the type of delivery that gets their interest. It turned a long way.
Yeah, Rahim, the wicketkeeper, also didn't read the ability of that amount of revs on the ball to take that much traction out of the pitch. Very heavy onside field in terms of protection of the boundary as well. It's the longest boundary on the field at the moment. They're the two long on and long off fielders patrolling the shorter boundary.
Yes, it's the ground's in magnificent condition. The outfield looks so smooth, well cut. Credit to the groundsman. And it's quite a big boundary, which the spinners will appreciate. Mind you, when you've got MS Dhoni there, the boundaries can be taken completely out of play. But it's great to see big boundaries because it does give the spinner the opportunity to capitalise on the miss hit.
Good fight back as well. 150 for 4. A bit of the master and the apprentice out there in the middle at the moment for India. That man there's been that and done it all. Can't think of a time where I've ever seen MS Dhoni look flustered. Always looks in control.
Well, he is a champion of our game of cricket. What champions need, they need a good repeatable technique. He's got his own, he understands it implicitly, but mentally, every time he goes to the wicket, I get the impression that he can recreate that environment in his mind that allows him to perform at its absolute best.
Oh, there's 21 to 30. And once again, Bangladesh, they won the first 10. And they had an opportunity to really jump in here. KL Rahul was the immovable beast. He was just absolutely smoking them, as he has done on this occasion as well. Loose deliveries are going here today.
Smart batting, though. He's such a great player to watch. He knows where that gap is. He knows what he wants to do. He hits it a lot finer than possibly he just knows where that fielder is. Beautiful batting.
Nice way to bring up the 50-run partnership as well between Rahul and Dhoni. And that is even nicer. The River Taff might have a little addition to it at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to describe that shot because you really don't need to.
Let the pitches do the talking.
Look at the flow of the bat. Beautiful batsman.
Well, we can talk about it for a little while longer because we've got some time, because that'll be a ball replacement. It's gone up and over the sight screen. Yes, it's a shorter boundary here straight.
Well, this is great news for India. When you looked at their team, well, particularly from my point of view, I just thought, well, you know, they've got the players, not bits and pieces, but good all-rounders. But your first 4, you really want them to be concentrating on one thing, and that's getting big scores. Every time you play a one-day 50-over game, ideally you want one of those top 4 to get 100, and then everyone can bat around them. Now, Coley, you know he's going to do that at some stage, but he can't do it all the time.
I think in the back of K.L. Rahul's mind at the moment is he wants to be the player that can fill that void. And also team up with Virat Kohli on occasions too, because if these two are going, that's some pretty entertaining and big scores for India. Goes again, heaps of space out there to play with for K.L. Rahul, and that's the way to finish off a big over. 15 coming from it, 165 for 4. It was the line that was the undoing there for Shakib Al Hassan. Partnership to 63. Tony's hit 15 of them. Last 5 overs, run rate has been at 6. Wants to get in on the action as well as MS Dhoni, and just listen to the crowd. K.L. Rahul going, MSD going, and you just get the feeling that these two have decided that spin is also going to go.
This one's starting to happen on both ends. As a fielding captain, you know you've got some problems. We haven't lost another ball, have we?
I reckon there'd be a few people in the crowd pretty keen to pocket one. It's not like baseball, unfortunately. You've got to give it back.
Yes, back with the batting lineup, your top 4 are playing well. There's nothing better than having them compete against each other. You know, all cricketers underneath, particularly batsmen, they're quite competitive. And if you can get them competing against each other, trying to outdo each other, it's even better. So if KRL could say, well, look, I'm going into this tournament, and if I can outscore someone like Virat Kohli, I think I'm going to be picked.
Michael Clark spoke about it yesterday when we were doing the Australia-Sri Lanka game, about the competitiveness to the pace bowlers, to him in the nets, to get into the side. And I think you're right, John. Once you have a competitive training sessions, then you can sort of transfer that intensity out to the middle, particularly through these warm-up games.
Yes, and at this level, one of the coach's roles, not quite reaching the boundary, but one of the coach's roles is to understand each player and understand how they want to prepare. Sometimes it's quite different from player to player, and you've got to respect that.
I think a lot of people who follow the IPL see that with Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers, two magnificent players in the same team at RCB. Virat A lot of time in the nets. AB de Villiers might take 5 minutes. If he's happy, he'll be happy with that. 32 overs gone, 176 for 4. And with that, it's also time for a drinks break.
That's the new vice captain of the Indian cricket team, Virat Kohli. That's a lot of runs on the leg side. Virat Kohli will get off the mark with that single.
Oh, that is the full toss. He's put it away. Will he come for the second? Yes, he does. Gambhir will be stretched.
Virat Kohli has to realize that he's got to keep going. When you have a good run, make it count. Get as many runs.
New Zealand, always a little bit of a dark horse.
I have no idea who's going to win this World Cup.
Watch the biggest cricketing events of the year.
Oh, that is a great shot. And here goes the celebration.
The ICC Cricket World Cup 2019.
Terrific shot.
The Ashes 2019. West Indies versus India 2019. All the TV subscribers of Willow can watch on their digital devices for free on www.willow.tv with TV everywhere. Willow broadcast of ICC Cricket World Cup is presented by State Farm. Go with the one that's here to help life go right. Powered by Zoom. Only Zoom gives you fast bank deposits and amazing rates. In association with Emirates. Fly better to 11 destinations in India, 8 in Pakistan, and 1 in Bangladesh.
Bowling, Bangladesh. 7 bowlers used at this stage. Not much in the surface. I thought they started really well. A little bit of seam those first 4 to 5 and 6 overs. That brand new ball. And it's been really nice for batting. They had to build some pressure. Again, the experience and the class of Virat Kohli and KL Rahul being the standout.
You're watching the bowling figures of the Bangladeshi bowlers. Generally in warm-up matches, what you see is at least 7 bowlers are used. Teams are just trying out various bowling alternatives, just increasing their choices. The rock stars arrived at Cardiff. Got the fans in. And the morning session belonged to 2 class players, Virat Kohli and Lokesh Rahul.
Yeah, he's looked good. Again, pressure on him as well, fighting for that number 4 position. Probably only room for one of KL Rahul and Vijay Shankar, assuming everybody's fit. Assuming Jadhav comes in and bats at number 6. So some extra pressure on him, but you haven't noticed today the way he's come out and played with freedom. So aggressive from ball 1 and has timed the ball really well.
Well, you were there in India during the IPL and some months before that as well. It's been a national issue. India's number 4 may have been discussed even in the parliament. Who knows? Finally, India have found their number 4. You're looking at him. It's going to be Lokesh Rahul. It was in the end a race between Vijay Shankar and him.
Yeah, look, Sanjay, I said a while ago, I think this young man, KL Rahul, is good enough to bat anywhere in the order. I think that the reason a lot of people have doubted him at number 4 is because his record in that position. and he's had most of his success opening the batting. And Stoney looks to go downtown, picks up a boundary, gets it past that man at 45. I think what he's shown today is if India do lose a couple of early wickets, he's the type of player that can come in. He likes to start against the fast bowlers. And the good thing for India, the one thing that's spoken about regularly about KL Rahul, is when he's in form, he's as good as any player in the world. When he's not, it can look really bad. So the positive for India now leading into this first World Cup fixture is that he is in great nick.
I think it's important also to talk about one aspect of Lokesh Rahul. He's got 68, he's got 9 4s and 2 6s, so he deals in boundaries a lot. And he's going to be batting at number 4. Quality bowling attacks may not be as easy, especially when, your wicket is going to be important. You've lost 2 wickets, what if you've lost Virat Kohli? But that's where India needs somebody like Virat Kohli, because when Virat gets 100, he'll have maybe 6 4s at the most, because all those runs have come via singles and twos, risk-free at the same pace. So his strike rate is about 100, but he's had to get that strike rate through boundaries and sixes. All India needs now from Rahul is to have that other game as well, just in case it's needed.
Yeah, that's a great example of what you're talking about, Sanjay. 36 dot balls. So if you're batting at number 4, that's the area you've got to look to improve. It's not necessarily about the boundaries. He can hit those. He can hit 4s, he can hit 6s. He's such a good player. It's the strike rotation. It's the singles off the good balls. It's getting to 10 off 10, those first 10 balls that you face. And that takes the pressure off your batting partner. In his instance, batting at 4 could be Virat Kohli, batting at number 3. So MS Dhoni, once again, beautifully timed. Pick up another 3. But I think he'll continue to improve the more he bats at number 4. End of the over, 185 for 4.
Ashoka Badam Maza, flavored milk beverage with real pieces of almond.
Get between $10,000 to $5 million in financing in as little as 24 hours.
They come up to the closing table each time, and I'm very impressed.
I'm very happy with the service of Biz2Credit.
Call or visit biz2credit.com now.
If he keeps batting at number 4, so far he's had just 3 international innings at number 4. He keeps batting. That's the other thing that will start happening, is his second, third gear game will start getting better.
I actually think he can own that position. In Test match as well. Test match cricket and one-day cricket. I don't necessarily think KL Rahul needs to open the batting in Test cricket. I think we've seen, when the ball's moving, like a lot of top-order players, it's obviously hard when the ball's swinging and seaming, but maybe his game is suited better to number 4 in both Test and one-day cricket. But again, this is a great opportunity for him. I would love to see him. He's 69 of 64. Grab this chance with both hands and make sure he gets 100. This is really his opportunity to own that position.
Right, once again, we have John Wright with us.
Thanks, Sanjay. One of the features of KL Rahul's batting is the scoring predominance on the leg side. And whenever you bowl at KL Rahul on the stumps or on the line of the stumps, his head is so still that he can really capitalise, particularly on the short ball, but also at the front foot. He's a very, very well balanced player. He has a very still head when that ball is delivered.
Yeah, well, that's an example right there, Righty, of how this talented young man can play both sides of the pitch. I think you're spot on. I think he favours the leg side. That's his strength. Anything off his pads, full or short, but look at that. That ball's on middle stump, and that's class to be able to step back, give yourself room, wait for that ball to come, and then still have the power to punch it through that point area.
He's really developed this power game, Lokesh Rahul. Yeah, this is something that we know he possesses. The big game. Some good pull shots today. Favouring that staying within the crease, inside the crease to play the attacking shots.
Yeah, he's certainly set up for back foot plays, isn't he? Got that little press that gets him in a great side-on back foot position. I think you're going to see, especially the fast bowlers, attack that front pad and look to nick him off, top of off stump. Sort of test match bowling, particularly if he comes in early in the innings. End of the over, 190 for 4.
A cricket crash.
What happened?
First cricket season away from home.
That's tough.
Every day I see huge crowds high-fiving every dunk, every home run. But the one time I see the fans I want to see, I get stopped.
I understand. Let's file a claim so you can get back to watching the game.
The game.
So, let's open the State Farm app and get started.
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
So much to discuss and plan, and this is what these warm-up matches give teams the option of trying out some options or tying loose ends. An important knot for India has been unraveled today with Lokesh Rahul now. I think very certain to be India's number 4 in that first match against South Africa.
That MS Dhoni just snuck up to 34 off 33 balls. Where did that come from?
This is the new MS. But generally, we know exactly how he's going about in his first 25-30 balls. It takes his time, a bit like Angelo Matthews of Sri Lanka. But are we going to see this Dhoni through this World Cup?
I think he's absolutely pumped about this opportunity. I think he knows he's coming to the back half of his career, back end of his career, and this is a real great way for him to show he's still in good form, he's still playing well. And watching him bat through the IPL was heyday MS Dhoni. The way he just took the game away from opposition teams, did it on his terms. That's what I love about MS Dhoni. He's willing to take that risk to do it on his terms. And again, even today, if he can get to a position like this, 33 off 34 balls, I think India, I don't know how India loses a game from that position, because 9 times out of 10, he'll just own it. It's the way you beat India is actually knocking him over in his first 10 runs. Don't allow him to get the 10. If he gets in like this, he's as dangerous as anybody in world cricket.
Well, I see Mahendra Singh Dhoni in this World Cup as a 3-in-1 package. You have Dhoni the batsman, and he's shown some promise with his IPL form. Then you've got Dhoni the keeper. So crucial when you have game changers like Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav, who rely a lot on stumpings for their wickets. And the last one is and never misses an opportunity to pick up a single. And his third service that he'll offer to this team is being in the years of Virat Kohli when he needs it. The consultancy service that he'll provide to the Indian captain on a stage like this. He's been there, he's done that.
Yeah, we see it so regularly, don't we? Particularly when Virat Kohli decides to go on field on the boundary, those last 10 or 15 overs of the game. Dhoni just owns that inner ring, gets the fielders right, talks to the bowler. Wonderful tactician, MS Dhoni. Oh, looks to go big. Doesn't get it exactly where he wants it, but he'll still pick up 4. A little bit of premeditation there. Gets the desired result. End of the over, 199 now, India for 4.
If I want better rates, my deposits take up to 5 days to reach India. But if I want fast transfers, I have to settle for lesser rates. That's a bad compromise. Firki le rahe ho kya? Switch to Zoom so you don't have to compromise. Only Zoom gives you the perfect combo of Fatafat Zoom fast bank deposits and amazing rates. Download the Zoom app today. No one gets your bank deposits to India faster than Zoom.
Is he looking relieved? Virat Kohli, that he's found his number 4. The other thing that when you have Dhoni in the side is the substitutes remain very fit. They have to keep coming out every over.
You talk about Virat being relieved. I think he will feel a little bit of that, Sanjay. The fact that if other guys are in form, KL Rahul, MS Dhoni, it takes pressure off the top 3. We continue to talk about, and for good reasons, 52% of the runs that India score comes from the top 3. So we continually talk about Shikhar Dhawan, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, how good they are. 200 up for India. But I think that man there is very happy because if Dhoni's in nick and KL Rahul's in nick, it means, okay, there's not so much pressure now. The top 3, yes, they have this high expectations. They're wonderful players, great players. But they'll have that same expectation from within. But just outside pressure goes away then. Oh, Dhoni, massive, long boundary out there. He clears it comfortably.
Yeah, great to watch. Big stride forward. Keeps changing his bat. Keeps changing the brand of bats through the innings. He has his own way of playing the game, and some of the things that he does, nobody's done before. That's in his arc. He loves it there. Mehdi Hassan. I just have to get closer.
100 partnership between these two as well. MS Dhoni, KL Rahul. Score ticking along now. Another one wide. Have to re-bowl that. Yeah, you can just see the attitude of MS Dhoni particularly here. He's thinking, right, 15 overs to go, 14 and a half to go. We want to go really big here. Over 300.
Make a good point about Rahul's form today and the promise that he's showing in this innings. This takes pressure of Virat Kohli with, I'm sure, a little bit of concern with the form of Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan. Not so much form, but their effectiveness in these conditions. The thing that you get with Lokesh Rahul, which you don't get with Kedar Jadhav. Kedar Jadhav gets a 50, but you don't expect the world of him. With Rahul, you can do that. He's got class, can match the likes of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli with his ability and his game, which sometimes I think Kedar Jadhav won't be able to. So, just promises a greater future with Rahul.
Well, he's got all the shots, doesn't he, as well? And he knows how to make big hundreds. That's the other thing. Even in T20 cricket, he just looks for real big scores. A little bit like Rohit Sharma. He gets to 100. The innings isn't over. You get nervous as a fielding captain or opposition player that is he in one of those moods? Is he going to make 200? And this is a no ball because the bowler's knocked the bails off at the bowler's end as he's delivered that ball.
I just feel, if this is a free hit, I'm told that all no balls are now free hit. The other day when there were just 3 fielders inside the circle, it was ruled no ball, and then it was a free hit. Is this a free hit? Yeah, it is a free hit. It is so unfair on the bowler. Poor guys just knocked the bails off. This is one of the rules that has changed in the game. Earlier it was just batsman bowling the ball, the bails would be replaced, and it just continued. But now, you knock the stumps off, it's a no ball, and now there's also a free hit ball that comes along, and Rahul makes the most of it.
Yeah, this run rate's increasing now, just below 6, 15 runs off this over. Bangladesh need a breakthrough. They need to break this partnership as soon as possible. Top order finish, 214 for 4.
Places.
Yeah, this is Dhoni just carrying on his form. You think that's T20 cricket, that's IPL cricket, that's played in India. He's got a 50. I don't think he's going to be too gung-ho and celebrate and jump with joy with that 50, but it's looked good.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this field either to MS Dhoni. I think they're going to have to risk bringing that man up at deep point and putting another one out on the leg side, because he is in one of those moods. 50 up off 40 deliveries. It's a fraction straight. It's not the worst ball, but just his intent at the moment. He wants that every single ball. He's looking for a boundary every ball. Once again, have a look at the swing of the bat. He does it so easily. This is out of the ground here in Cardiff.
Well, this shot has been well oiled. Right through the IPL, the big game was there for his calling. When he needed it, it was there for him. And it seems like that's carried on to England in this match. Every time he's looked to play the big shot, it's come off. He's got 3 sixes now, 5 4s. And if he keeps bowling there, the ball's going to keep disappearing over the ground, outside the ground. Keep a few of those handy.
I think Virat Kohli should bring him off. I think Dhoni's ready. He's ready for tournament play. He's in unbelievable form. And again, this is the intent that we saw through the IPL as well. This is the heyday, the old school MS Dhoni, where gives himself a couple of balls at the start of his innings, but then backs his power. Plays with that aggressive approach. 56 now of 41 deliveries. Hasn't worked up a sweat.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard to imagine his batting on 56. He's been there just about an hour. Mr. Virat Kohli from the balcony makes some kind of a gesture. I thought he was telling Rahul to just come back in. You can have batsmen retired out. But I think the crowd will be very angry with Virat Kohli if he retires Dhoni out.
Yeah, maybe Virat's thinking the same. Save some for tournament games. But yeah, I think KL Rahul needs 100. He needs a real big one. And again, this is a good example. This is that number 4 position. He's with someone like MS Dhoni that's creaming him. His responsibility now, KL Rahul, is strike rotation. I know he's 80 off 75 and he's hitting the ball well, but this is a good chance for him to go exactly like that. Bunt it down the ground for a single, get MS Dhoni back on strike. Let MS take a few more risks. His job's to stay there and rotate.
I must confess I was barking the wrong tree with Vijay Shankar as my number 4 because he is playing first-class cricket in the middle. Rahul has been mostly number 1, 2. Hardly any games at number 4. Now that he's hit this kind of form, his self-confidence would be sky high. And also, he'll get that big game that he has in the final few overs. That's the added bonus with Rahul. 10 overs left in the innings. 228 for 4. Or 13 overs left.
I'm Antonio Garcia, and I'm from San Jose, California. Policy Genius saved me a lot of time. Going onto the website, first of all, it was very intuitive, very user-friendly. The customer service and the price was phenomenal. Policy Genius recommended that I bundle up my home and my auto and merge the two. That's where I was able to really reap the benefits. I saved about $800 in comparison to my other insurance company. Take a few minutes out of your day and give Policy Genius a shot.
Kedar Jadhav. So India is likely to drop Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and play Hardik Pandya. But Hardik Pandya is not a 10-over bowler. So Kedar Jadhav is the cover-up, just in case Hardik doesn't deliver the goods. But if Kedar Jadhav is not available, will India risk a bowling lineup of Hardik Pandya and a Vijay Shankar? Or would they want to have Bhuvaneshwar Kumar coming back in as a pure third-seamer?
Very interesting point you make, Sanjay. Jadhav's not fit. Who do they go to? Do they go for an extra fast bowler or do they go for Vijay Shankar? Just think, if you've got Vijay Shankar at 6, bat and bowl, Hardik Pandya at 7, bat and bowl, 2 legit quicks. Oh, that's short. 1 bounce. Just gets away with that. So 2 all-rounders, 2 legitimate fast bowlers in Bumrah and Shami, and then your two spinners, your two wrist spinners. That's a very good attack. That's 6 good bowling options for India. I actually think conditions will dictate do you go Shankar or Jadhav if they're both fit, but I think that's good options.
Against a quality batting lineup, I would be worried with those 10 overs of Hardik Pandya and Vijay Shankar as a combination. Kedar Jadhav, he's been amazing as that part-time off-spinner, whatever the conditions. Whether the longest side of the boundary, Rahul certainly now set to get 100. He knows how to get hundreds. He's got 2 T20 international hundreds.
Why is Rohit not bowling anymore? I thought Rohit Sharma's part-time off-spinners were pretty handy.
That's how he started off his career, cricketing career as an off-spinner.
I think if he's able to bowl, I think Rohit Sharma, a little bit like I always thought the same with Steve Smith. I think his leg breaks are pretty handy. Just a couple of overs here or there, mix up the tempo, have a crack at a new batsman. I think Rohit Sharma's bowling can definitely find a way through this tournament, particularly if the wickets spin a little bit to pick up the 1 or 2 wickets.
Jorud got 3 against Afghanistan. I guess it's just about being interested in bowling. A lot of people just lose interest as one of their other skills just takes off. I was a leg spinner when I was young, under-19 cricket. Leg spinner just gave up because I was really not into bowling that much. Sachin Tendulkar, despite his incredible batting success, still loved to bowl a lot. That's why he continued to bowl till the end, even in matches, part-time, 233 for 4.
There's nothing wrong with being cheap, so go ahead, be smart, be cool, be cheap. Download Click or Call and save on flights, hotels, cars, and more.
CheapOair.com.
Go ahead.
Always get a bit of a reading of the captain's mind in warm-up matches as to how he's thinking. Our last match, you had Hardik Pandya batting at number 5, which meant that Virat Kohli really wants Hardik Pandya, the batsman, more than the bowler, sent him at number 5 after Rahul at 4. Today, he's just kept him back. Let's see Hardik Pandya more the bowler today. What about Jadeja? His batting in the first warm-up game would have tempted the team management to think of him as an option.
Yeah, I think that's the other one that is going to be tough to work out. How do you get 3 spinners into 2? Do they go Kuldeep Yadav and Chahal, who have had a lot of success together, or do they go with Jadeja, who again probably offers more with the bat than those two, but do they want back-of-the-hand bowlers or the left-arm orthodox in Jadeja? So that's going to be really interesting. I think a lot of that will depend on who bats at number 6.
It's going to be 4. It's the first ball from Mustafizur. He's been forced to come back. Ideally, he'd want his spinners to make a mark in this spell, but Mustafizur has come back to maintain some kind of control.
Yeah, he's just got to stay on here, KRL. Fraction lazy. He's got good fast hands and gets away with this. No slip, so minimal risk. He's just got to stay sharp. He's done all the hard work. Last 2 overs, he's done exactly as I've asked. Just bunt it down the ground and get those singles. There's 100 staring at him right now. He's got to take it.
Let's talk a little bit about Bangladesh as well. We've seen them in the field. Saw Sri Lanka in that warm-up game against Australia, and I was really shocked to see that there's really no spinner of note in that Sri Lankan team. They are packed with seam and quality seam. We've got Shakib Al Hasan as one of the options. We've got Musaddiq. Mehdi Hassan is the orthodox finger spinner. but you get a feeling that they might just back seam more in this World Cup. Now, this is a team that shocked India in the 2007 World Cup, and they had 3 left-arm spinners in the playing 11. So the landscape in Bangladesh is changing. They're also shifting more towards seam like you see with Sri Lanka.
Yeah, see, it's interesting, Sanjay, because I still think their greatest strengths are their spinners. I know their fast, both Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, their fast bowlers continue to improve, which is very exciting. I think that's great for their team, but I do think their spin department is their strength. I think they've got to continue to utilise that through the middle of the innings. They've got to continue to attack with their spinners. I think that's the other area that's changed. Because their fast bowling's improved, they probably think now their quicks can take the wickets, so our spin can be a little more defensive. I think for them to have success in this tournament, they have to go the other way, back to how they used to play and really attack with their spinners.
It's going to be more a part-time option, Tabi Rahman. I think Shakib will have to do a lot of bowling. Yeah, but you can see the returns outside Asia. In fact, in this match as well, spinners going at an economy rate of 8 as opposed to seamers 5.24.
And again, those numbers do not tell a good story for Bangladesh. And I think that's obviously execution, a little bit of skill, but I also believe it's about attitude. I think when you're bowling with the attitude to try and save runs, don't go for too many runs, versus let's attack and look to get wickets, I think you'd see those numbers be a little bit different. I think they obviously love playing at home. That's exactly how they bowl in their own backyard. Top water finished the over, 239 for 4.
They're having a little bit of a quarrel now.
I think MS was just laughing at the field placement. There was a man in the middle of nowhere, just moving now, standing at like a forward, short catching square leg, and I think MS was a little confused.
And that has to be one of the funniest things that I've seen. That's going to be a single. You got to see that again, because he sees that fielder, you're right, that's a good spot, and he's wondering what is that guy doing there, and he draws that the attention of the bowler. Are you sure you want that guy there?
Maybe that's smart play for MS Dhoni. Just get him thinking, what is this fieldsman doing here? Maybe stick a bat pad in now or something out of the ordinary.
He's become such a wise old man now. At this stage of his career, he's mentoring his own team members, helping the opposition as well to set the right fields. It's just great to see. I mean, he's got so much to share. And no baggage of the past. He's just learned cricket his own way. Nobody has really influenced him. He's always challenged the conventional wisdom. Oh, missed it. Wasn't expecting a nice, juicy full toss. So that was this domestic game in which Virendra Sehwag was playing and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar was bowling against him. Yeah, missed out on an easy one. And so Bhuvaneshwar Kumar bowled 2 balls on the off stump and Viru hit them for 4s, and then 1 ball on leg stump, and he picked up a single, and while he was running towards the non-strikers, and he told Bhuvi, keep the ball here because then you won't get hit as much.
Save it.
So I'll just pick up a single, I'll go to the other end. Don't bowl to me on the off stump.
A little bit of coaching to the opposition, nothing wrong with that. looking after his teammate. I think MS is so comfortable with his own game now. Doesn't matter where they bowl. And nicely played from KL Rahul. Moves on to 91. 243 for 4.
Back. We have a power play. India well on top, but Spera thought for Bangladesh at one stage that reduced India to 102 for 4. But since then, these two have taken over, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen, but either MS Dhoni or perhaps someone sitting up on that balcony of the Indian coaching unit, I'd get a message down to KL Rahul. I want him to keep batting. Don't get too expansive. Get that 100 and keep going.
He's trying to knock that one out of the park as well, Dhoni. He's of hero quality, that's for sure. MS Dhoni is just an awesome character. Not just an awesome cricketer, it's the way he carries himself. He's not captain of this side, he's working with Virat Kohli, but he's just so cool and powerful. It's extraordinary to see him in action. And everything that he brings this Indian side. Yeah, you're right, Bridie. I mean, 4 for 102, Bangladesh would have been pretty happy with what they'd done. They utilised their medium pace bowlers up to that stage, and they made some inroads. But since then, they've watched 143 runs build between these two.
The seamers bowled well, particularly this man. Bowled very well. And the spinners really that traditionally they're so strong, but they've been dominated to some extent.
Very nicely bowled. Got high on him, so Rahul lets it go through. He's only 8 shy of one day 100. I mentioned earlier that this isn't listed anywhere because of the warm-up nature of the game and that they can rotate 15 players, so it's not like it statistically goes into a book or an individual stats, but it means so much as an individual running into the ICC World Cup.
If possible, as an individual, have a look at the spin package. A great example of MS Dhoni. The power, but also that stable base that he creates when he's actually hitting.
Has he got hold of it? He has. So he's only 2 shy of that 100 now. Pick the right boundary. It's 81 metres the other side, but 61 towards the pavilion. And you do think about that as a player because you'll back yourself. It's the end of the over. Nice way to finish it for India. 251 for 4. Sabir coming from the Cathedral Road end.
Not a bad test of his ability when you bowl to MS Dhoni. Imagine being an off spinner. And here's that shot again from KL Rahul. Very strong on the onside. But I can't imagine what it must feel like. MS Dhoni off spinner. Someone I worked with was Virinder Sehwag. He didn't really count the off spinner.
No, that's right. It's such disregard for someone who's bringing the ball back into you. And so they just wind up. Mark Waugh, actually, the Australian batsman, he never rated spinners generally, but certainly off spinners. He just thought they couldn't bowl, but he would get out to them, and he'd walk in. How on earth did I get out to an off-spin bowler? So the acceleration of the innings is what's so special in the way in which there is that calculation, the brain in overdrive. Well, not even in overdrive. It's an easy concept for MS Dhoni now, this natural calculation of what is required. He obviously knew when he entered the scene today that they needed to galvanise. He had to work hard, knock the ball around, and just within a matter of 10 overs, he can then put his foot down. Straight to the man. So Bangladesh, from a fielding and bowling point of view, they'll be learning. There'll be Rhodes, the coach, and Courtney Walsh is in there. They'll be working out what they need to do better. Obviously, there's a run chase on their hands today, so their batsmen have a job to do. But just in the fielding side of things, they'll be looking at what could have been better. I mean, they've still got to finish the job, don't they? There's 8 overs left, and India, with Hardik Pandya next, they could get anything. So Rahul on 99. And there's the 100. It's been a big day for KL Rahul. If there was any question about who was number 4, I think the door is shut. 255 for 4. Drinks break there for the batsman, and well earned too, because this partnership now is 153. It's a neat 100 for Rahul, and there are 8 overs remaining. Does it get to a point now where Kohli starts to think of getting Pandya out there? Dhoni 65. He can get to 100 with 8 overs to remaining. There's no doubt about it. But Hardik Pandya is next. And I want to talk about Hardik Pandya because you had a role in discovering him some years back, didn't you, John?
Well, I was there when we were watching Baroda playing at Mumbai in a 20-over game, and sitting beside me was Kieran Moray, who comes from Baroda, had a lot to do with both brothers, and sometimes it's fate. You watch a player, it might go along and they might get naught. You're none the wiser, but on that particular occasion he got 80 odd, played beautifully and bowled well. So he was someone that just stood out from his ability, really. You just looked at him and you thought, well, there's something special there. The way he's a great striker of the ball. And so is this boy. KL Rahul he's been around for a while, and he's the sort of player when you first see them at any stage of their career, when you go, he looks a player.
IPL was just stunning for Hardik Pandya. In the end, the brothers enjoyed that victory with the Mumbai Indians. John Wright still involved as a talent scout. So, yeah, you're right. If you were there that day and you hadn't seen that performance from him, you drive away and you are none the wiser. I mean, he's such a talent that he was going to launch himself at some stage, you would think, but it always helps if there's the right person there watching you if you're going to perform on that particular day. It can fast-track the whole procedure.
Yes, and of course Kieran knew about him. Hometown, young boys growing up, loved the game. He'd bat anywhere. He'd like to open the batting. Great attitude. He just wants to be involved, and I think that sometimes it's that attitude of, you know, just give me a chance.
Yeah, it always used to amaze me, the Pakistan system, because when you're talking about an infrastructure, at times it hasn't been that structured, but there'll be a bowler just come out of the woodwork and bowl 145k an hour swinging the ball because someone turned up at a net session and saw some talent there, and he's drafted in at a young age and very quickly. It was extraordinary. Terrific hands, MS Stoney. And KO Rahul has been outstanding.
Great balance. The point of delivery is very, very still. Been very strong today off the back foot. Severe on anything short. And maybe that's a shot of the innings. You probably have a choice of 5 or 6, to be honest.
Yeah, it's back live. Yeah, I just love he makes a big stride forward. He gets in behind them and plays a very sound pull shot. He also has understood at times the softness of hands and the use of the single here in England with those soft hands. Just keeping it all tight and running it down to third man. Punching it in front of point, turning to the onside. So what they've been able to play with, and I think what we saw with South Africa scoring 338 last week, was a consistency here in Cardiff. There's another one, and it'll be out of there as well. Catch it in the stand if you can. Brilliant. 7 overs remaining, 265 for 4. So another 6, another one out of the park. Rahul is peppering that short boundary. And another one of those that makes a great sound from the bat. And be feeling good about things. 108 from 98, Rahul, and a closure of innings now. These two, they can accelerate. They can score well above 320 from here.
Well, it's short and slower. He came up under the ball. And I like the sound of that shot. You could almost hear the 6.
Oh, I think it's bowled him. It has bowled him. So he got across the stumps. He was trying to hit that behind square leg. And this brilliant innings comes to an end. Just falters in the 44th over.
Well, that's a bit of a bonus. It's one of those ones where you actually probably threw it just a little bit earlier and you drag it on. Just off the glove. A bit unlucky. Shot was on, but that's a brilliant innings. And an absolute if anything comes out of the day, India perhaps have found their number 4. It's 266 for 5.
Pandya. We call him hard-hitting Pandya. This is like a T20 for him. There's only 6 overs remaining after this one, and this is a certain stage of a T20 he could come out. Yeah, and he's only recently finished the IPL, so normal mode. Down the ground for 1.
Here's the wicket again. Yes. It's one of those ones that you sort of think, well, I've been a bit unlucky with that one. Fantastic innings. And well appreciated by everyone.
Hardik Pandya's death over strike rate in IPL was 196.68. It was only Andre Russell who had a better strike rate than that. That's the venom of his blade. Pushed wide, Dhoni letting it go through to the keeper. So they're in still a great position to launch and finish it off, and really feel like they've made the most of their batting, certainly in the middle order. And that's what I think they needed today, India, to feel pretty much in form with their middle order players. 268 for 5. Steve Rhodes, wicket-keeper batsman, played quite a bit against him. He was the coach of Bangladesh. He's one of the stalwarts of English cricket, really. Played for Worcestershire and played for a long, long time. A lot of conversation between these two. MS Dhoni. Wonder how much advice he would have come across your time as coach as a new kid on the block, where he would have been all ears, but I'm not sure he's the greatest talker going around. Stoney on strike.
I've always thought that the greatest coaching is player to player. That the experienced players mentoring and passing on their knowledge is more relevant than perhaps the coach. I've always encouraged that. I think it's so important. Learning off your peers is more powerful, as is peer pressure. When you've made a mistake, you actually want the senior player to go to the younger player and say, look, perhaps you might be doing it this way. And Dhoni is renowned for the helicopter shot. And in one of the innings this year, I think it was at Calcutta, I saw Hardik play several helicopter shots. And that's probably a direct result of Hardik spending time with the Indian team and watching and learning.
I think India have announced themselves today. I think they've all of a sudden just grown those tentacles. They've just spread them out there for other squads to take them extremely serious in this ICC World Cup. Not that they weren't going to be taken serious, I'm not saying that, but I think on just a batting performance, those who you should fear from the other squads bowling to the likes of Dhoni, KL Rahul, the striking power of India. It's been here for all to see. Bit of a smile there from Dhoni.
Must be extremely satisfying to be able to hit a cricket ball that powerfully. Yes, I think there were question marks with perhaps not the personnel, but the order, particularly the batting order of the first four. If India can be consistent in that area of their game, they will certainly be a force in this tournament.
Has he got it through? It's good fielding. Oh no, it's gone through. Tunnel ball. He got there and then through the legs, and they'll come back for 3. So Dhoni, he's now chasing 100 as well. He's 79.
Probably didn't realise how this game was going to turn out when he walked off that bus. But certainly, we've seen all the talent and the technique of KL Rahul today. And what he'll be is more confident, perhaps more comfortable. It's 280 for 5.
Look out, we've got fireworks. Don't you worry about that. We've had fireworks and they're just going to be shot a little high maybe. Oh yeah. Hardik Pandya. Hit it harder, will you?
Yes, we're watching this game. Sit back. Something will happen, and probably each ball.
Well, I can't wait for this. I can't wait to see what he's going to try and do. Mightn't come off, but as I said, this is no different, apart from a little bit chillier and softer pitch conditions to the time he would bat in a T20 fixture only a few weeks ago. And we know what he was able to achieve during the IPL. Dhoni, 21 runs from 100. He hasn't got hold of it. Oh, one bounce for that man. He just crept in too far. He should have taken it. It should have been securely taken on the boundary rope.
Yes, in the real tournament, you don't want to drop these. If anything, he may have been just a little far off the boundary rope. Certainly with this man, I'd be encouraging my fielders to stay right on the boundary rope.
Oh, now it's thumped down the ground and he races to 87. Now you put someone like Dhoni down. this phase of the game, you're going to really cop it, and there may be another chance, but Bangladesh have got to really lift now and try and take a couple of good catches. The pressure's on the bowling execution because we have got the onslaught. It has started. It started a while ago, actually.
And I'm just wondering if MS Dhoni does score 100, how many balls it's going to take him.
Well, 87. He's got 87 from 67. And he's trying to carve that one between three men behind points. Unable to do so. So Pandya now is back on strike. He doesn't take any time to get going. He doesn't have time to get going. But one boundary that was stumped through the legs of the bowler. So they're 6 away from that 300 mark. Now 5 away. There's 4 overs remaining. It's 295 for 5. Rate 6.41, and it's been the construction of it that I've liked. Chippendale one left early, right. Sharma didn't hang around for too long. Shankar didn't last for too long, but Kohli is always impressive. Nearly got his half century. It was Rahul and Dhoni. They were on the rebuild, and then it just kept increasing. Dhoni has been spectacular, and so has KL Rahul, who only made a little mistake a few overs ago, cementing that number 4 position. There was a lot of talk about whether it would be a Shankar or whether it would be Rahul. The class of Rahul today has won the battle.
Yes, Bangladesh have got a problem. They've got 4 overs to bowl. They've got possibly one of the greatest destructive batsmen in one-day cricket in the 80s. A young lad that's just come along that has taken the IPL by storm with his strike rate. Now, in the last game they played, Ireland got 292 and Bangladesh chased it down 294 for 4. They know then that they possibly can get 300. Whether or not there's a difference between the Indian bowling attack and the Irish one is that we're yet to see. But now they've got 4 overs and they don't want to get it completely out of control where 350 is just going to be too far.
That's the length you don't bowl. You just cannot be sure of the Yorker and on that length because it'll be launched and he could even hit it further than that. He doesn't need to at 6, and that's the 300 up for India.
So still. And that was such a measured stroke. It was almost just a half swing. It was almost the way you push a single.
Yeah, it's that quickness of hands though, John. I mean, they've not slowed down right through his career. He just gets into such a good solid base position and the hands whip through it. So it always looks like a short golf swing. The club head speed. There you go, now single. Hardik, your turn. Love this batting. We're going to see this right through the ICC World Cup. We're going to see individuals absolutely rip bowlers apart. We're going to see bowlers get the wood on batsmen at times, but this sort of spectacular nature of one-day cricket being closed out and for about 20 overs, it's just been awesome to watch.
Yes, you're right, Michael. The fast hands and also the combination of a solid base. He's so still. He's wide apart, still, solid, strong.
Yeah, I think all the terrific hitters have that really solid base now, don't they? Once upon a time, it was all about advancing. But your consistent, solid hitters that do it day in, day out, like a Hardik Pandya as well, they create a very solid base for themselves. The head is still. You'll still get the odd batsman who likes to create momentum by coming at the bowler, but the ball has to be in that perfect slot. In a foundation like that, depending on the length, you're either going straight, the shorter it is, you bring it further square to the onside. So Rebel, if he's going to bowl the Yorker, it's got to be right on the money. Otherwise, he's just going to go the journey, and it'll continue to the end. 3:08 for 5 now. Conversation there to Pandya. So MS Dhoni is suggesting how he'd like to see this partnership finish up. He's on 99, right? 99 from 72. The Dhoni's at the non-striker, and at 99-72 his fours are on 8 occasions and 5 sixes. Should run away. That was ill-directed from Shakib, and it's 4 wides. That really does hurt.
It's Bangladesh. They've got 3 overs. Here's the last ball of the last over. Kept a little low, maybe a little bit slower.
He's gone the long boundary, and it's gone all the way.
Yes, well, if Bangladesh get out of this without India scoring 360, I think they've done well.
360, yeah. 53-run partnership between these two, 24 balls. And again, the men converge. They can't cut it off right between them.
Well, this is... I don't know if modern day is the right description, but certainly the modern day cricketer, the striker. Players these days from all countries, all nationalities, seem to be able to hit sixes at will. They practice it more often. They're stronger. They work harder in the gym. The bats are bigger. And certainly, from a fan's point of view, they get the opportunity to catch it more often.
4-6-4 this over. He just goes to paddle out. That'll be another wide. So anything I see happening here for Bangladesh is bowlers who don't want to release the ball because they're getting flogged everywhere. Another wide. It's hurting their confidence right now, and so Bangladesh are going to have to work hard as a bowling unit after today. He's drilled it, and now it's been taken. It was low and flat, never got the elevation he was after, Hardik Pandya.
And it was a good catch. was travelling flat.
Yeah, he just didn't get the elevation, did he? He knew straight away. He was just praying that it got up a little bit. As the catch dropped in that vicinity, but not on that occasion. He knew he smashed it. That's why I think you see that reaction. So, little cameo there, 21 for 11. It's important for India, 325 for 6. Dinesh Karthik after the furore of that 50-run stand between Pandya and Dhoni. So Dhoni's been out there for a long time. It's been a very special innings. Over 2 hours he's been there. And finally there's the dot ball.
Here's the wicket. Good catching technique. Moved quickly. His hands behind the ball. Yes, and spare a thought for Dinesh Karthik. He would have been in discussion of perhaps being maybe a candidate for number 4. And he's strolling out with 15 balls to face.
Well, it looks like outside leg there for me. It was just Bangladesh trying to slow things down again. I think they're going to slow it enough by having Karthik come out at this stage. But another new batsman, it'll slow down, try and get Dhoni off strike as much as possible. So they're just testing their luck here, aren't they, John?
Well, it's certainly going to hit the wickets, I think. But the big thing is that it did look that it might have pitched outside leg stump. That's what will save him. The only problem with all of this is that it does take quite a while. I'd hate to be the batsman waiting.
I don't think he's too much for Karthik to worry about it. You generally get a feel as a batsman when it's really, really close, or whether you're plumb, and occasionally you'll have the batsman who is plumb who'll challenge a decision, and then you've used it up wrongly for your team in a strategy sense. But just waiting for the line, the tracker, to see where it pitched more than anything. Here we go. There's a pitch outside leg. That's what it looked like. Outside. Tony on 99.
And what a great example to any member of that Indian squad. You're looking at the most experienced, perhaps the most successful one-day cricketer. It's a practice match, and he applies himself. He makes good use of his time, and in all probability, and I don't want to put the mockers on him, he'll get 100.
Well, here's 99. There's a wide, so another one of these bowlers who is feeling, might be lack of confidence, but just not clear about the execution. The confusion that Dhoni brings is, where do I bowl to? If I put it in the slot, it's over my head for 6. If I get short, he's going to pull me for 4 or 6. Short and wide, he'll cut you for 4. So 99. What a way to bring it up. It has been Dhoni magic here in Cardiff.
Straight, sure and superb. You miss, he hits.
Come on, MS, give us a smile. He is so cool, isn't he? He's cool, calm, collected, and so powerful. He's got his own style. There you go. That's for you, boys. Preparation complete.
I had the privilege of still being around when he came in for his first one-day series. Didn't say much. Sat there, absorbed, listened. The second match we played against Pakistan, he opened with Verinder Sehwag. Got 100 and I think it was 30 odd. Made Verinder, here I say it, looked like Jeff Boycott.
Find that hard to believe.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And in the next game...
Where's this one going? For wide.
The next game he batted 3. Serve. Sachin opened the batting. Both got big scores. One of them was out after a huge partnership. Dhoni came to the wicket and got 30 odd, just feeding the strike to the in batsman. It was so smart for a player that had just come into the setup. He knew what was required at the right time.
Oh, just the one. He really tried to slam that. Now, Dinesh Karthik, can he match him? Or does he just knock a single? Give it back to Dhoni. I'd be giving it back to Dhoni. Or maybe Dinesh just needs to. They've got enough runs, they probably think now. So Karthik himself, well, he would like to thump a couple out of the middle just to get a bit of feel good. But what you said, John, it's sort of spare a thought for him because he could have been batting a lot higher than he is.
Yes, so sometimes these practice games, it just doesn't work out for opportunity.
Nicely clipped. And making use again of that shorter boundary. It was patrolled heavily with men in the deep. But he finds the gap. Lovely stroke.
A very creative player. Shouldn't be underestimated. Good striker. I think he'll look to go leg side.
Well, all your men long off and then spread right through the onside. That's a dangerous delivery to bowl wide of off stump, and you haven't got a third man. You've got 3 men behind point. And that's Dhoni. That short arm jab over and over again. He at times uses his feet, other times he'll stay and just use that solid base. But every shot is with such immense power. There's only been one I can think of, that drop in the deep that he hasn't collected out of the middle. A Clive. Another 6, why not? It's raining 6s.
When you're out in the middle and you're fielding, you can almost hear, well, you do hear, when a ball's well struck, when it's well hit. With all these shots of MS Dhoni, you hear that noise, that sound, even over the television.
Yeah, it is. It's a real, isn't it? You hear it come out of the middle and you go, oh, you know, he's hit that hard. He's hit it well. And all you need when you hit it like Dhoni is the elevation, and you're going to carry a lot of these short boundaries in England. Oh, good delivery. So there's a Yorker successfully completing the over there. It's still gone for 21 though. 1 over remaining. 3-4-8 for 6. Don't go anywhere. Some good humour going on up there. I don't know who the jokester is. Borat's pretty comfortable with things. He batted nicely today, really nicely. So the boys are enjoying themselves, having a laugh. Final over. And somehow, well, Dhoni's missed it. It's missed the stumps. There was a missed stumping. It's missed everything. Somehow, it was going a long way.
From Wales to England. It's a little bit of turn.
Well, it was the pad, wasn't it? Now bowled. So he's launched. First one not successful. The second one not successful. And this magnificent cricketer strides off to, as you'd expect, a loud applause. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant to watch. The 37-year-old in action right here in Cardiff.
Now this is really well bowled because he's taken the pace off it. He's slowed it down. The tendency, the inclination is to bowl it quicker when someone's going like MS. But actually he bowled it slower. But a brilliant innings, a brilliant dress rehearsal. 348 for 7.
So Jadeja, Ravindra Jadeja. There you go, you got 4 balls.
Do your best.
4 balls to get us up over 350. And the first one is a dot ball. 348. It's been magnificent, hasn't it? And it's been rebuild Dhoni and Rahul, and then Dhoni just trying to overhit. Has he got enough? He has. He's launched it. It's like a golf swing. Perfectly down the middle of the fairway. Thank you very much. There's the 350 up.
Yes, well, when you come to the wicket, it's always good. You're told, play straight. And these days, a lot of players practice hitting the ball straight because there's usually no one there. Shakib knows that he was too short. And he got the punishment.
Well, there's been 13 maximums hit today in Cardiff in this innings, and the previous highest was 10. So it's been for the crowd to cheer unless you're supporting Bangladesh. That'll run away for 4. And they approach at 360 now, India, with 1 ball remaining. It's a massive total. But were they 4 for 102 in the 22nd over?
Yes, well, Bangladesh, they started well. They've done everything well. I think you've got to give a lot of credit to KL Rahul and MS Dhoni. Big partnerships.
And it's straight to the man. They'll be happy with a single. So that's the conclusion. Thank goodness, Bangladesh, they've been running to all parts. The crowd have had catching opportunities. And it'll be a pretty happy skipper, I would say, of that Indian cricket team. Virat Kohli, 359 for 7. So Bangladesh, 360 in a run chase for victory.
India will be very happy with this performance. It will help them with their selection.